Lindell at MyPillow. So make sure you go to mypillow.com and use my promo code Kane at checkout and load up on the great MyPillow products there. You can also order by phone, 800-716-4879, and let Mr. Mike Lindell know that his sponsorship of my content is money well spent. And he, so go to mypillow.com, use my promo code Kane, K-A-N-E, and load up, okay? Okay, we've got just a second. Stand by. We got a lot to cover. Welcome to the program, everyone. My name is Brian Craig, and this is Florida's longest-running radio show, The Steve Kane Show. We've got so much to cover today. Welcome, one and all. I'm going to start talking about the price of oil and gas because it's very exciting, and I am going to get into what happened in the Senate yesterday, meeting with the president, and a whole bunch more. We've got a lot to cover on today's program on this. Can you believe it's Thursday morning already? Holy smokes, where has the week gone? And certainly your calls are welcome at 888-465-2631. And I've had a lot going on in my personal life, which I might talk about a little bit. I don't really get into my personal life too much. I'm not going to get too specific. Well, I'll just tell you real quick now because it's been on my mind. There was someone in my family who had been given a diagnosis by a doctor. While it wasn't an immediate terminal diagnosis, it was pretty much a terminal diagnosis, and it was the diagnosis they gave was so severe that we were like making final arrangements kind of stuff. And I'm not going to say what member of my family this is, but it's someone in my close family. It's not my wife or daughter, but it's somebody in my close family. That's all I'll say. But we got together as a family and got a second opinion and found out they were completely 100% misdiagnosed. 100% misdiagnosed. And and it's something I've been dealing with the last couple of weeks, actually. And the last couple of days have been very concerning. And then we got the good news yesterday in the afternoon. So, we basically had almost a terminal diagnosis and found out it was a 100% misdiagnosis by a quack. So that, so things are good today, and we've got a lot to cover, and I'm in a great mood. So let's get going. All right, welcome everyone. Again, my name is Brian Craig. This is the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest-running radio show. Now, one of the things that the Trump, the Democrats, the never-Trumpers, the fake news media, whoever the Republican president is, they're always going against them, right? And they have no sense. Trump derangement syndrome is worse than any hatred they've ever had for a Republican prior, but they always hate on the Republicans. And nothing they can do is right, but they've created a fake narrative, a fake crisis. Now, Democrats do nothing but create fake crises, and then they claim to have the solutions, and then we find out that they don't have a solution. They just have some financial racket to steal billions of dollars from the government. As an example, the homeless crisis. Okay, the homeless crisis, right? There's no homeless crisis, but they say there is, and then they come in with their NGO. Spencer Pratt told us about this at LA, and they get the social security numbers of the homeless people they ship into LA, and then all of a sudden they're billing the federal government hundreds of billions of dollars in fraudulent charges and getting rich off of it. So there are very few true crises in the world of America because we're such a great country, okay? And liberals make up all these crises all the time. One of the ones they talk about all the time is the affordability crisis. The affordability crisis is a big one for them. This is totally manufactured, okay? People live outside of their means, and then they want to blame Trump for it. That's the way it is. I live within my means. That was not always the case when I was a younger person. I was very irresponsible and in a lot of debt and lived outside of my means. And I paid for it, and I paid off all my debt, and and I'm debt free now, which is a beautiful thing. It is true freedom to be debt free, no credit card debt or anything. But I used to live outside my means. And every once in a while, my wife and I will go through our expenses. And, I give you a great example. My wife and I have both been with State Farm since we were in high school, both of us, right? State Farm, I've been with State Farm since I got my first car when I was 17. And coincidentally, my wife has been with State Farm since she was in high school. And we've stayed with State Farm our entire life. And I'm not going to tell you what we were paying. It's different for everyone else. But in our family, our monthly insurance bill, okay, for auto insurance, I did not know this until, I'm talking about auto insurance. Just auto insurance. Our auto insurance was our biggest monthly bill. I couldn't believe it. Our biggest monthly bill. And I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. Why are we paying that much? So we called them. And that's what it is. And I'm like, what? And we got an individual local licensed agent and everything else with State Farm. And it was the largest single monthly bill in my family was our monthly auto insurance. And I didn't know this because I like to live in denial like a lot of guys. I don't like to know how much anything cost. So I let my wife let her worry about all that stuff. I just make as much money as I can and try not to worry about any of that stuff. But every once in a while, we go through our expenses. And when she told me how much it was, I thought that was insane. And I didn't want to, I said, well, it's State Farm and, I don't want to go to some rinky-dink. So we went to, my wife called Progressive. And this is not an ad or a paid ad or anything. I probably shouldn't give the company names, but I am. So my wife called Progressive, and she got us the same level that we didn't, without even having less insurance on the same cars for about a third of what we were paying. I'm not exaggerating, about a third of what we were paying. So my first reaction was, no way. I don't believe it, and I said, is that just the first month and then in 6 months? And so I had her actually get somebody on the phone and we talked to them and I had them send it in writing because I couldn't believe it. And it was about a third of the cost, and we got it. And I was so skeptical. I said, let's not cancel the State Farm yet. Let's wait until we have the insurance in place and we make the first payment. We just did this. This was about a week ago. Okay, I just haven't talked about it. This was about a week ago, and so for about 2 weeks we had insurance from both Progressive and State Farm because the price was so low. I just couldn't believe it was real. Okay, that about a third of the price. And when I realized it was, I was like, okay, so we call State Farm and to cancel, and they said, okay. Our local agent, they didn't even try to keep us, and that was it. So, and my wife and I, all the time, will do things like go through our expenses and find out places where we're bleeding money. On apps that we don't use anymore, as an example, right? And, we're not sitting around pinching pennies, but you do things like that every once in a while, and you'd be surprised. It's called being financially responsible and living within your means. And people that talk about the affordability crisis, they're living outside of their means, right? And I know people fall on hard times. Don't misunderstand me. And some people may say, well, it's just you and your wife. You don't have kids. Well, we raised a child here in Florida. She's grown up now. But I got news for you. When you have children, you're always a parent to your child, and you're always helping them out or doing things for them. So it never really truly ends. Not that I'm complaining, but it never does. But I know what it's like to raise a family and have a child, and I understand everything that's involved in that. and it's not inexpensive, but it's being a pair. But people that are running around talking about the affordability crisis does not exist. It's a liberal urban legend. And there's a lot of liberal urban legends out there, right? Separation of church and state is in the Constitution. That's a liberal urban legend. The Second Amendment doesn't guarantee the right to an individual to bear arms. It's about militias. No, that's an urban legend. Climate change, global warming is a scientific fact. That's a liberal urban legend. There's a lot of liberal urban legends. It's not a child. It's not a baby in the womb. It's a fetus. It's just that's a liberal urban. And one of the liberal urban legends of today is the affordability crisis. Well, our greatest and favorite president, Donald Trump, did something amazing yesterday that no other president, to my knowledge, has ever done. And after the first break, I'm going to share that with you, all right? And if you know of when a president has done this, please call and let me know, all right? Now, if you're on hold, hang in there. We'll also go to the calls after the break. But I want to talk about Mike Lindell. There's a couple of big specials going on at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout right now. One, and this is exciting, the America's 250th anniversary sale. Save up to 50% off with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, on MyPillow products that are made right here in the USA, including the mattress toppers, the mattresses, the various MyPillows, the mattress pads, the coffee. You go there, the made in the USA products, as much as 50% off at MyPillow.com with our promo code Kane at checkout. And at the same time, he has his Mega 2 sale where you can get items like the Giza 100% cotton dream sheets for just $59.98. That is a massive discount. You know, the 100% Giza cotton dream sheets from MyPillow.com, I have these. And however long they've been available, my wife and I have been sleeping with them, but they are made of 100% Giza cotton, and what it does is the Giza cotton is the finest cotton in the world, and it keeps your body the perfect temperature all night long. So in these hot summer months, it's like having air conditioning in your bed with these Giza Dream Sheets. It's amazing. Just $59.98 with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. There's also a whole bunch of other specials there, and you can use our promo code Kane at checkout on all the specials at MyPillow.com. And, you know, Mr. Mike Lindell has been a sponsor of this program for many, many years, okay? So make sure you go to MyPillow.com and let him know that his support is, well, I just say, is well spent, okay? Because he's been a strong supporter of everything we do here on this program for many, many years. And so go to MyPillow.com and use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane, for these huge savings. All right, we'll take our first break of this Thursday and be right back. Yeah, so when we get back, those of you that were watching in the pre-show, I'm going to play this on the radio and I will take calls, but what President Trump did here was absolutely amazing about gas prices are now, oil prices dip below $70 a barrel, okay? So we have very low oil prices now because of the president, but gas prices aren't as low. They're under $4, but they're not as low as he thinks they should be. Listen to what he's doing.
Right now at the pump, and we're higher than that. And we are doing a big investigation again. They're not reducing the prices commensurate with what's happening. Look.
Isn't that something? So when have you seen a president of the United States investigate price gouging of gasoline at the pump? So those of you that gripe about the affordability crisis and prices, this president is doing something that no other president has done before to give you reasonable, affordable gasoline. No other Democrat or Republican president has done that, of either party, no matter what they say. Now, in the live chat, on the main live stream, I pinned the link to Jupiter Joe Thomas's most recent show. You know, he does a radio show on our radio stations, but he also has a YouTube channel where he does the show on YouTube, and he did a fantastic show on 401ks that I watched this morning before I went on the air, and I put the link there in the, I pinned it in the live chat on the main live stream. Click that link and please check out his video and subscribe to Jupiter Joe's channel. He's got a great studio that he broadcasts from. Oh man, you'll see it. It's a studio that he has at his office in Jupiter, and it's a beautiful studio. And one of his daughters is his co-host. So go to his YouTube channel, guys, and subscribe. And the link to Jupiter Joe's YouTube channel is in the description of the video as well, guys. So you can check it out there and check out his channel and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And his shows are very, very good. And I thought his 401k show was particularly interesting. All right, we'll be back in about 90 seconds, and then we'll go to the phones. And the number, of course, is 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. Those of you on hold, stand by. I'll take the calls when we get back from the break on the radio. But the affordability crisis is a myth. You know, I'm not saying that things are cheap, right? I mean, things are not cheap, and they cost more than they used to, but that's the thing. You know, I went to Taco Bell a couple days ago, and I got 5 crunchy tacos, just regular crunchy tacos, and a large Pepsi. Right? They don't have Coke at Taco Bell, but I like Pepsi, and it was a little over $10. You know, and I used to be able to go and get that, and they were, you know, so it was about $2 a taco. You know, well, I had the drink too, right? But I used to go and get tacos for less than 50 cents a taco. And when I was young and first living on my own, and it was great. You know, I used to go to Taco Bell all the time because it was great. But, you know, over time, prices, sadly, they go up. That's the way it is. It's life. You know, when they say, make America great again, liberals, they think, oh, what do you want to go back to the 50s, the 60s, and all these things? Well, they want President Trump to turn prices back to what they were in the 80s. I wish they were. All right, we got 10 seconds. We'll be back. I'll go to the phones. Hang in there, guys. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian Craig. Let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Morning, Brian. Doc from Texas.
What's up, Doc? From Texas?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
I am always well, unless I tell you I'm not. What's on your mind, Doc?
Hey, I just wanted to say my prayers are with the people with the earthquake yesterday. There's a lot of people got hurt behind that.
Well, let me tell you. You know, in Venezuela, those are the luckiest Venezuelan hurricane victims down there right now than ever. You know why?
No, how you say they're lucky?
I said they're the luckiest earthquake victims outside of the United States.
How do you say that, Brian?
Because Venezuela is part of the United States now, and it's part of the United States now. And as opposed to having corrupt dictator communist running the country, they're going to have Donald Trump. They're going to have Donald Trump. He's getting all triggered. Donald Trump and Marco Rubio and Pete Hegseth and great Americans are going to go down to our client state. Some believe it's the 51st state of Venezuela, and they're going to get first world relief and help from their mother country, the United States. So, that's awesome.
But you know how you sound when you say that?
Like an American? Like a proud American?
Brian, Venezuela's their own country. We need to go out there and help
We
them.
conquered it. No, it's a client state. It's a client state. Yes, we did.
We're not doing nothing for Venezuela.
We're doing everything for Venezuela. We're doing everything.
Stole their oil. That's all we
We're not stealing anything. We're rebuilding their oil industry, and they're going to get first world earth. Think about it. What would it be like in this earthquake down there if Maduro was still around? That idiot and his psycho wife.
It's going to be the same thing. They're hurting, Brian. They're hurting. I'm hoping we go down there and help them.
Well,
we
can't control earthquakes happening. That's the earth, right? But we can control the relief effort. And now that Venezuela is part of the United States, they're going to get
part of the United States.
Yeah, they are.
It's on their own country.
Yes, they are. No,
not.
it's a client state. It's like Puerto Rico.
And one more thing too. Why would Trump not sign that bill yesterday? They help the housing market.
Oh, really? How is the bill going to help the housing market?
I'm not going.
This is interesting. Hold on a second here. I love this. Excuse me. Excuse me for speaking. Excuse me. Excuse me for speaking while you're interrupting. Excuse me for speaking while you're interrupting. Doc, listen to this, okay? Listen, excuse me, okay? This is amazing, okay? What you heard. I didn't think it would happen this early in the show. I figured at some point. Hold on, Doc, while I answer all these calls. I figured it would happen at some point during the show. But these Democrats on television and around America are upset at Trump that he did not sign into law his own housing bill that was passed by a Republican House and a Republican Congress. Since when are you advocates for Trump-proposed legislation passed by the Republican Congress? Now, all of a sudden, you're in favor of Republican and Trump legislation? Oh, Doc hung up. Doc hung up, everyone. I did not hang up on Doc. Doc hung up. He couldn't handle it. He could not handle the truth. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, hi. Good morning, Brian. This is Danielle from Michigan.
Hey, Michigan. What's up?
Hey, I'm thankful for your good news with your family. Glory to God.
Mm-hmm.
Thank goodness. The other thing, I feel so bad for Doc. I feel so bad for Doc. It's unfortunate that the earthquake happened. And just like you said, Brian, thank goodness they're going to get some relief from the U.S.
They're going to get first world response. They're going to get first world help and response.
And why does that trigger Doc? I mean, why are these people, so upset? But I want to say one thing, real quick to you, Brian. What were the two, because you were talking earlier about the gas prices and John Frederick's wonderful question yesterday. What were the two things that our great president said when he came down that golden escalator? What were the two things that he said?
I don't know which ones you're referencing. What were they?
Okay, he said, make America great. We're going to make America great again. Then we're going to drain the swamp.
Yes.
Let me just tell you, with the oil prices as low as they are and the gas prices not budging, this goes to show you that the swamp is deep and dangerous. And they don't want to lower the prices. And he's going to do our great president's going to do something about it. So, Doc, have a great day in Texas.
Well, and I'll tell you another thing with Doc before you go, and then we'll break, and the rest of you on hold standby. This is the thing with black liberals, Doc, Sonny Hostin, Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Reid, all these idiots.
Sure.
They hate Republicans, right? Republicans freed the slaves. President Trump, the Republicans and President Trump overturned Roe v. Wade. How many black babies have been born since then, right? That would not have been, and now he's doing an investigation into price gouging of the oil companies on the cost of a gallon of gas. This is ridiculous. I mean, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
And also he's going to send help to, we can't help earthquakes, Doc. I mean, it's out of our control.
Exactly.
President Trump is going to help. I mean, come on, Doc. Sit back, relax. Brian, I think these people just don't love our country.
Yeah. All right. I got to run, Michigan, but a great call. All right. You hang in there.
Have a great day.
All right. Now, listen, if you're on hold, hang in there. We're going to take our break for the bottom of the hour and come back with your calls. Don't go anywhere.
resourceful father whose creativity turns everyday mishaps into memorable adventures. From broken doors and wobbly gates, no challenge is too big or too silly for Duct Tape Dad. Perfect for bedtime reading, family story time, or any occasion when you want to celebrate that special bond between dads and their children. And teachers, it also makes a great addition to your classroom reading collection. Duct Tape Dad is a charming book filled with laughter, imagination, and heart. Order your copy right now on Amazon, in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover, and discover why sometimes the best fixes come wrapped in humor and are held together with love. Duct Tape Dad, from author Pinky Wellington, on Amazon. Are you tired of being told that chronic disease is just a normal part of growing older? What if you could take control of your health, boost your energy, and dramatically reduce your risk of serious illness using proven, science-backed strategies? The podcast, Vitality by Design, with host, coach, Dr. Ann Hester, will teach you how to do just that. Dr. Ann is one of fewer than 1% of physicians in America who is double board certified in both internal medicine and lifestyle medicine. Each episode of Vitality by Design reveals how the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine can help prevent, treat, and even reverse many chronic diseases. Vitality by Design is a life-changing podcast where you'll learn how people are putting type 2 diabetes into remission, improving heart health, reducing stroke risk, and creating lasting wellness naturally. Whether you're looking to prevent disease, regain your energy, or create a healthier future, this podcast gives you the tools and knowledge to get there. Add Vitality by Design with Coach Dr. Ann Hester to your podcast playlist right now on Spotify and Apple Podcast.
All right, guys, we're still in radio break. I'm going to take the calls when we get back from the radio break. But, you know, a couple things here. I mean, this is a simple question. No matter who was running Venezuela, this earthquake would have happened, correct? Although they'll probably, by the end of the day, be blaming Trump for increasing the oil drilling and getting the refineries back up. But the earthquake would have happened in Venezuela no matter who was in charge, right? Who would you, if you were a Venezuelan post-earthquake, right? Who would you rather be running Venezuela? The old regime, Maduro, or the current leader of Venezuela, Donald Trump? Would you rather be in Venezuela after this earthquake with Maduro running as president of Venezuela, or President Trump, who conquered Venezuela and made it a client state of the United States? I would rather be in a post-earthquake Donald Trump Venezuela, wouldn't you? And I hope that they send the fleet down there and the hospital ships and all the experts and everything else and all that. I want the Venezuelans to get incredible help down there. Don't you? Of course we do. All right, we got 90 seconds till we're back. If you're on hold, stand by. There's one opening on the board, 2 openings, at 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call no matter where you are listening, all right? Okay, well, actually, we have less than a minute, and we'll be back. Less than a minute. So would you rather be in Venezuela after an earthquake with President Maduro running the country or the current president, President Trump, running Venezuela? That lady is just a figurehead. She's the acting president figurehead. We're letting her just run the day-to-day operations. Make no mistake about it. Venezuela is part of the United States now. I would rather be there with President Trump. Oh, every line on the board is full. Oh, something I said. We'll go to the phones in 20 seconds. Yes. Yep, 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call. 888-465-2631. Stand by, 5 seconds. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Chris from Chicago.
Hey, Chris.
Hey, that housing bill, did you ever look into it?
What housing deal? I'd forgotten.
The housing bill that Trump didn't sign, did you look into it?
No.
Why not?
Because I'm not looking for housing. I live in a house. I live in a house. I live in a house and I don't want to move.
America,
So what?
Hold on.
Yeah.
You're quote unquote America first.
Yep.
And this bill will help everyday Americans. So why didn't you look into it?
Because I'm not interested in housing right now. I'm not moving.
My thing is, it would help out everyday American citizens, the housing crisis that's in America today. And he didn't sign it because he is a big baby.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, this is interesting, Chicago. You're the second Democrat in a row. This housing legislation was Trump's legislation passed by a Republican House and a Republican Senate.
It was bipartisan.
Bipartisan means one person voted for it, but it was Trump's idea. So this is interesting. So you're upset that Trump's idea, yeah, you are. You called me about it. Trump's legislation that was his idea passed by the Republican Congress. You're upset that Trump Republican legislation was not signed into law. That's interesting. Since when are all you Democrats advocates for Trump's bills?
What I'm upset about is people like you who don't call Trump out.
No, if he would have signed it, you would have called me today pissed off that he signed it and it was hurting housing.
No, that's not the case.
Yes, it is. It's called Trump derangement syndrome.
Because the bill does good things.
Oh,
That's what I'm trying to
like
tell
what?
you.
What does it do? Give me an example. What does it do?
Once again, it blocks major corporations from investing into neighborhoods.
Oh, well, that's Trump. Okay, so that's Trump's idea. That's Trump's idea. So you support Trump. You support Trump.
There has been an idea from both
yes,
parties.
but he came up with the idea for it's his bill. It's his bill.
Hold on. Listen, regardless, it finally got passed. Out of all these years, it finally got passed. Democrats and Republicans have been fighting for this for years. They've been fighting for this for years.
Listen, I'm talking to the listening audience, not you right now, okay? Those of you in the listening audience, you are hearing a textbook example of Trump derangement syndrome, as if you would have called me today. So let me ask you this question. You want this audience to believe that if Trump signed his own housing bill into law that was passed by the Republicans in the House and the Republicans in the Senate, you would have been praising it today? Give me a break. Nobody, is that what you're trying to get us to believe?
Once again, you're not listening to me. Democrats and Republicans.
That's not what I asked you. No. Excuse me. If Trump would have signed his own bill into law passed by the Republican Congress, you would have called me today telling me this was a great thing he did for the affordability crisis that y'all have made up?
How long have I been calling this radio station?
I have no idea.
Right?
I have no idea.
Okay, it's been some time. Okay, I don't care about Democrats or Republicans.
I know.
That type of person.
All right.
Yeah, that's what you.
No, you have Trump derangement syndrome. You would have been pissed off today if you would have told me about all the people that left out, like all your precious illegals, right? That don't get Section 8 housing under it.
I have never made no argument about illegals. What are you talking about?
Well, you're a Democrat.
I don't care about stuff. They need to go back.
They need to go back.
If you're here illegally, you got to go back.
So let me ask you, what do you take for that Trump derangement syndrome? Does your doctor prescribe anything?
Once again, you have no argument. So now you want to,
No, you've ignored everything I've said. I have asked you multiple questions. You've ignored them all because the answer. I didn't ask anything. I asked.
What question have you asked me?
I don't ask.
What serious question?
I ask.
Regardless, what have you asked me?
I'm not going to ask you. I ask.
Whatever, man. Like I said, and once again, call Trump out. Okay, this bill would help out everyday Americans. That's all I want.
So what other Trump legislation do you support?
He has not passed no bill. I don't support. Of course,
you're supporting. This is a Trump bill. This housing bill was his idea. It was his legislation.
It was bipartisan.
Bipartisan means one. You get one person in the other party to vote for it. They call it bipartisan.
Once again,
this was Trump's idea and Trump's bill.
This idea Kamala had as well. Kamala, things that's in this bill is things that Kamala wanted.
Mm-hmm. So what other Trump legislation do you support?
What is he trying to pass besides the SAVE Act? I don't know.
The Save America Act. Yeah, the Save America. You support that too? Do you support that as well?
Well, I don't because once again.
Really, you think non-U.S. citizens should be able to vote? I thought you didn't care about illegals.
No. The requirements for getting your voters' rights back is ridiculous.
What requirements? What requirements are in it?
Because you got to have birth certificate. You got to have birth certificate. And the problem is, just like my wife right now, okay? She changed her last name, but her birth certificate does not state my last name.
So what? Same thing with my wife's. It doesn't matter. My wife's birth certificate is not Craig.
It does matter because it's a lot of women who don't have that.
That's nonsense.
It's a lot of
That's
women
nonsense.
who don't have that.
Your birth certificate never changes. Your birth certificate is your birth certificate.
You're correct, but when you walk in there with an ID that doesn't match your birth certificate, it's a problem.
No, it's not a problem.
You need to understand
it's
that.
not a problem.
Okay, man.
It's not a problem.
That's what I'm saying. You don't look into nothing. Look into the requirements of the bill. Like, come on now. You don't look into anything. You have no facts. You have nothing.
I have everything.
Like, well, whatever. I mean, like I said, you don't look into nothing. You fear more.
So your wife's driver's license has her maiden name, not her married name on it?
Once again, you understand.
Well, no, you told me that women can't get their marriage. So what?
Her birth certificate has her regular her born name on it.
Everybody,
Okay,
every
right
woman's
now,
does. Yes.
But, okay, you're right, but her driver's license and her passport do not match that. You
Okay.
need to understand
Well, all
that.
you need is the passport. So she's got a passport. That's all she needs.
So what if you don't have a passport?
Then you get one.
So you're screwed.
No, you get one.
You're screwed.
You can get a passport.
How
You
many
can get
months does it take to get a passport?
You can get it in 24 hours. No, you can get it the same day.
How much does that cost?
You can, well, if you want it the same day, it's a little bit more, but you can get it.
Okay,
You
but
can get
everybody
it.
don't have $200 to blow out.
Well,
in
you
one
don't
day
have to
just
get
because
it.
they
You don't
wanna
have to get it in a day. You didn't ask me about the cost. You said how fast can you can get it the same day. You can go it here.
No,
Yeah,
once
if you go in
again,
person.
Everybody don't have the finances to go out and get a passport. Okay, everybody don't have that.
What they don't. How much does it cost to get a passport regularly?
$170.
How do you? Oh, let me look it up. I'm gonna look it up online. I got to renew my passport before the next cruise, so I gotta take care of it. You know, on our last
10 years. 10 years.
$130. I just looked it up.
Yeah, but you got to add the Cook County tax. You got to add tax.
Cook County tax. Cook County is taxing U.S. passport. No, they're not taxing. They're not taxing. That's a federal thing. No. That's a federal thing. They're not taxing a federal document. No, it's $130.
Regardless, everybody don't have just the waste on $130 on the passport.
It's not a waste. It's not a waste.
Well, everybody don't. So what about a person on travel? It's a waste for them.
Well, then you got to use your birth certificate. A married woman uses. She's got a marriage license, right?
Yes.
Okay.
That's not allowed. A marriage license.
No, in fact, that's the marriage license. A marriage license is how your wife got her driver's license with your name on it.
That's fine. Once again, that's not a requirement. You can't take a marriage license in there. You can't take a regular state ID in there. You got to have.
Yeah, you can't. No, you don't. No, in fact, here in the state of Florida, you know, my driver's license states that I'm a U.S. citizen. It has a seal on the top of it that says I'm a U.S. citizen, which means I can vote.
Now I'm glad you educated yourself about that, because last time you didn't even know that.
Well, I don't know. No, it's not that I don't know. I never noticed.
You found out. Last debate I had with you found out. You didn't know last time.
Well, we don't know. We don't know things until we learn them.
Yeah, that's fine. But that's all I'm saying, man. I'm just saying.
That's all you're saying. That's all you're saying.
At the end of the day, call him out. Okay, just call him out for his.
So you're upset with President Trump that he did not sign his own legislation passed by the Republican Congress into law. That's amazing.
It was a bipartisan legislation, regardless that passed.
It's not bipartisan.
The Congress.
Bipartisan is some liberal gobbledygook garbage.
It passed through the Congress, and he should have signed it because it helps the everyday American person.
Well, the Save America Act passed through the House.
My question is, why didn't he sign it?
Because the Republicans in the Senate won't pass the Save America Act, so he's not signing anything.
But this helps the American person, so he's a baby.
He's a baby. He's a baby. So Trump, this is interesting. So this is okay. So you're telling me that Trump helps the American people, is what you just said. Trump helps the American people. Well, this is his legislation. So you're telling me that Trump wants to help the American people because this is his
How does
legislation.
he help the American people?
Because
when he
this is
refused to
his
sign the
bill. He wrote up the bill. It's his
Okay,
bill.
but he refused to sign it because he couldn't get his way on something
But
else.
he will sign
He's
it.
a baby.
But
He's
he
a
will.
crybaby.
So you said that he wants to
How
help
do
the
you
American
know
people.
that? You don't even know that.
Yeah.
This bill would help the American people.
How?
He refused to sign it.
So
because he
President
couldn't get his
Trump
way.
so President Trump wrote a bill that he got passed that helps the American people. Is that what you're telling me?
For one, he didn't write anything.
Yes, he did.
Stop
It was
it.
his bill. It was his bill.
He didn't write it.
It was
He didn't write
his
it.
bill.
This is a bipartisan bill that was designed with the Congress.
Uh-huh.
The Congress passed it. Both houses passed
Boy.
it. And he's a baby.
Listen,
and he refused to sign
listen,
it.
people in the listening audience, this is your brain on Trump derangement syndrome right here with this caller.
But you're not. You're not.
Yeah,
so
see?
why did he refuse to help the American people?
Yeah, I've already answered. You know why. But so you're
Why?
telling me that Trump introduces legislation to help the American people.
Trump
That's
didn't
awesome.
introduce anything.
This is his legislation.
Trump didn't come up with this idea.
Yes, he
This
did.
was the idea that was
No,
bipartisan.
not this bill. No, not this bill. This bill was
my
Trump's bill.
goodness, Man, come on, man.
All right,
They
come on,
talked
man.
about-
Come on, man. Can't we all just get along? Come on, man. Isn't that something? That really is, that is something. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be right back. Was that Trump derangement syndrome or what? What do you guys think? Was that Trump derangement syndrome? Doc hung up. He's like, I can't handle this. You know, he was afraid that his Trump derangement syndrome was going to kick in. We're in radio break now, so if you're on hold, stand by. And I'll go to the phones after the radio break. If you guys could do me the favor of liking the video, guys, please do that. You know, when you like the video, it gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found my channel, and that really helps out a lot. So if you could please like the video, that helps me out a lot. It really does, more than you know. And if you get the hype option after you like the video and you do that, that's even better. But please just take a moment right now to like the video. And that really helps. My video will pop up on people's feed on YouTube that have never heard of me before. So when you do that, and it helps. That's right. Okay, we've got a couple minutes till we're back. But if you're on hold, stand by. You know, I played this clip earlier. I got a lot to cover today, but this is the president doing what no president has ever done before.
ExxonMobil, Chevron, it's Shell, it's BP, a lot of them. The gasoline and oil prices have come down so much, and we are not seeing anything at the pump by comparison to what it should be. We should be, in my opinion, at $2.25 right now at the pump. And we're higher than that. And we are doing a big investigation on it. Yeah, they're not reducing the prices commensurate with what's happening. Look.
Yeah. You know, he is investigating these high gas prices. No president's ever done this, Republican or Democrat. This is amazing. Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we're 2 minutes away from returning from the radio break. I'm going to go right to the phones coming out of the radio break, all right? If you'd like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631. It's a toll-free call, no matter where you are calling from. And those of you that are new to the program, welcome, by the way. The calls are 100% unvetted and screenless. And what that means, for those of you that are new, no one answers the phone. When you call in, I just put you on hold. And we do that on purpose. I don't know who's on hold. I don't know what you're about until you hear me say, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Then I hear you for the first time. The only thing I can see is how long people have been on hold. You know, so I take the calls in the order in which they were received to the best of my ability. Sometimes I'll hit the wrong button, but all the calls are screenless and unvetted. I have no idea who is on hold. We're about a minute away from coming back. And I do that on purpose. We have somebody that could screen the calls. It's possible, but we don't do it because I think it makes the show more interesting because I don't know who's on hold, what's coming up. you know, and you can catch me off guard at any time. I don't know. I don't know what you're going to bring up. You know, on other shows, you know, they screen the calls. So, just knowing where someone's calling from, they'll say, where are you calling from? You know, Chicago. Well, you know that if it's a call from Chicago, it's probably a liberal, right? We got a little more than 30 seconds till we're back. I don't know anything other than how long you've been on hold. That's all I have here. So I can take the calls in the order in which they were received. But I like it better not knowing what's coming. It makes it more exciting for me too, because I don't know what's coming, right? And I think it makes it more exciting for the listeners too, right? But yes or no? Was that Trump derangement syndrome? All right, we're back. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian. It's Joan coming out of California.
Hey, what's up?
Nothing. I'm just hearing all of these people, and it's really, really disgusting. I don't want Trump to sign another bill until the SAVE Act is actually formalized and placed on his desk. All of people saying, oh, why didn't he sign? Why didn't he sign? We have something that's more important than that bill, okay, and that's to ensure that we have elections where citizens are voting, legal citizens are voting,
That's
and
right.
all of this corruption is addressed. You're working on some minute bill that you're probably not going to actually even use over ensuring that our elections are legitimate. You have to be out of your mind.
Well, I just find it comical. I've taken calls from 2 liberals today, 2 black liberals. They hate Trump like the plague, and they're upset that he didn't sign his own legislation into law passed by the Republican Congress. All of a sudden, they're upset that Trump bills aren't getting signed into law. Since when are they advocates for MAGA legislation?
These people are disgusting. Our president has done so much for us. You know, the Trump RX, it basically is a discount that anybody can utilize, and you can, and it's a huge, gigantic discount. He signed bills for cutting our taxes. He's done so much, and he still has years in his presidency. This issue in regards to our election is the most important thing that he could possibly ever do. It has to get done.
Yes.
It has to get done.
Yes.
There is nothing more important than making sure that our elections are...
Well, this is what's happened here, okay? We have a bunch of foreigners in this country that are monkeying around and causing all kinds of trouble, right? They vote, they rape and kill people. Sometimes they're even school board superintendents. Remember that guy recently? You know, I mean, and so we have to have some integrity in our entire country on everything, not just elections. And John Thune needs to, no legislation is going to get signed into law. They're not going to be able to pay off their big fat cat donors until they pass the Save America Act.
I don't want anything else to get signed. In regards to that last caller who was actually showing his absolute, just TDS on steroids, one of the funding bills was actually assist each state in regards to funding for that exact issue in regards to IDs. So President Trump has even thought about financing it so that people can basically end up, the idea is like at a minimum cost.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is that a birth certificate is something that you need. If you don't have it, you need to get it. You need it for so many
I'll tell you,
issues.
on our last cruise, one of our listeners, he was from out of state that went on the cruise. His passport was expired, and he didn't know it until a couple days before the cruise, and he couldn't find his birth certificate. And he had already, he was booked on the cruise. He had his hotel stay, and within 24 hours he had it all done. He had the passport and he had the birth certificate, and he was in Miami boarding the ship. You can get this quickly. It's not a burden.
Exactly. And you mean to tell me that you can't think ahead to make sure that you end all of this stuff taken care of? I mean, a birth certificate is so extremely important. It's the proof of your birth. You know what I mean? It states all of these important factors in regards to you being coming into this world. And you mean to tell me that you don't think that it's important?
Listen, there's only been one instance where someone has had a problem getting a birth certificate to me, and that was Barack Obama. It took him years.
Oh my God.
It took him years to produce a document that he said was a photocopy of his birth certificate. It wasn't. He never released the birth certificate with the raised seal. When I got my first passport, I didn't have my birth certificate, so I had to send to where I was born to get it, and I had to have it with the raised. I had to have an official copy of it from the clerk's office with the raised seal. Obama didn't even produce that. They gave him the damn nuclear football and commanded the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Marine Corps. It's crazy. It's crazy. Birth certificates are important.
Trump can come out with the cure for cancer and guarantee you that these people with their TDS would be out advocating for cancer.
Well, you know what? There used to be a meme in Trump's first term. I saw this meme. It was I think it was the funniest meme I've ever seen about Trump, derangement syndrome. It was Anderson Cooper. And it was two screenshots of him. It was Anderson Cooper on the left, Trump cures cancer. And then the second clip was Anderson Cooper, Trump puts doctors out of work. you know what I mean? So I thought that sums it up. It's simple, right? But it sums it up. He can do, and I love all these Democrats calling me, advocating for Trump legislation. How dare he not sign that MAGA legislation? That was his idea that was passed by the Republicans in the Congress. How dare he? It's a joke.
No, what's great is the fact that actual Nazis, racists, fascists, socialists are running in their party.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, listen, I gotta run, but I appreciate the call. All right, you take care. All right, out of California, you're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yes, Renee from Boston.
Hey, Renee.
Hey, the music you got on hold is terrible. My God.
Yes. Well, hold on a second here while I answer the phones. Well, there's worse things I could play. You could be listening to the Joyce Kaufman show on hold. That would be really bad. Oh, my goodness. You'd be begging me for the music.
I'm sure. The reason I'm calling is
We'll agree on that. That's how bad the show is. All right, go ahead, Renee from Harlem.
I want to shout out to Doc. I just want to tell them Black Power and One Love. And, you have people thinking. The other thing I want to mention is Saul Alinsky wrote Rules for Radicals, not Rules for Racist was not what he was writing about.
What is Black Power in 2026? What does that mean? Black Power in 2026. What does that mean?
That means we have to come together and we have to fight people like you.
Oh, okay. So you want to rally all black people together in some type of force and fight non-black people?
No, people like you, specifically.
Oh, okay, whatever. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, Brian, this is Dave from Pennsylvania.
Hey, Dave. Doing all right?
Yeah, I had to comment. I was laughing about that guy calling about the affordable housing bill.
Yes.
And I was laughing. He's more worried about that, and he can't even afford to get his birth certificate changed.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what the heck?
I was thinking maybe they should come up with another bill called the Affordable Change My Birth Certificate Act.
I wouldn't mind if they give the passports out for free if you produce the certificate. I wouldn't have a problem with that.
Yeah, it don't take long. It's a joke. But I'm calling about up here in PA. They still are gouging us big time with gas.
Mm.
They couldn't get out there fast enough when that conflict started. They raised it so fast. Now, our highest was $4.69,
Mm-hmm.
and now it's yesterday it's $4.41.
Mm-hmm.
So it didn't come down very much.
Yeah.
But one other comment about EVs, I heard you talking earlier about it. They don't consider people like me that that live in a town where there's houses side by side. Okay, so if I work 4 to 12, I get home on midnight. There's a car parked in front of my house, and there's the only spot open is 3 houses down. Now, how am I supposed to charge my vehicle like that, you know?
Why would there be someone parked in front of your house? You live like in an apartment?
No, I live in a small city. You know, you got neighbors side by side.
Yeah, I saw, you know, it's funny. I saw a story, I can't remember who did this story, a couple years ago, about Tesla owners in New York City, where there's no charging stations in the city of New York. There's like one far outside the city, and they showed people running extension cords from the window of their apartments to the curb to charge up their cars and everything else. It's a nightmare. I was surprised.
Yeah, when you live in the city, nobody owns the street, so, you know, people can park wherever they can. Well, you know...
I like Teslas, and my one friends that have a Tesla, they don't have to pay to get it. They got a deal when they bought it where they get free charging forever. That's super cool. Yeah. They go to charging stations and they don't have to pay. That's awesome. That makes it very, very. I would like to get one of those Tesla robots when they come out. Those are really cool. My wife's against it, but I want a Tesla robot. Listen, I got to run for our break, but good to hear from you from Pennsylvania. If you're on hold, stand by. We'll be back right after this break. All right, guys, hang in there. If you're on hold, stand by. Haku. Come on, Haku. Haku is one of my cats.
SFjr.lovable.app. Some stories don't end when the book does. Drafted.exe. It begins on Amazon.
All right, 10 seconds, guys. I'm going to go back to the phones before I bring up new things. Stand by. All right, we're back. I'm Brian Craig. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show on the radio since 1977. I covered a lot in the first hour. I'm going to take a call or two before I bring up some new things for people that were hanging on. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Brian. This is Richie.
Yes, Richie.
I'm listening to all these crazy people calling up. I'm going to break it down. I want everyone to pay attention here. Brian, and this is going to really make sense to you. Brian, have you ever been to a horse track before?
Of course.
I know Steve is a big race fan. Now, horses, people that go to the racetrack, the horses like in Florida, Gulfstream, the horses will come out of different states, and they'll flood into Gulfstream. And to me, every horse looks the same. I guess to you, I would think.
Yeah, I have no idea.
You don't.
While I don't gamble, I do bet on horses. I usually bet by the name. Like, I went to the track once, a horse was named Brian, so I bet on him,
Okay,
Yeah.
that proves a point. When you bet on Brian, the horse named Brian, you bet on the horse that's name was Brian because that was the horse.
Yeah.
That wasn't some dummy horse. Every horse, folks, that's at a racetrack, every thoroughbred horse.
I'm totally lost with what you're saying.
You're going to find this out. Their upper lip is tattooed. You know why it's tattooed? Because the people that are wagering on that horse want to make sure that the horse they're betting on is the horse.
Oh, I see. Okay, I get it. Yeah, I did not know that.
In other words, the upper lip is tattooed. So in other words, you're betting on Brian, and it's Brian, and you're not going to bet on what you think is Brian.
So they can't plug in another horse to mess up the betting odds and all that.
Anything.
Yeah.
That's like the elections. That's exactly like the elections. You got people that are coming into this country, 20 million. They go all over the place. You got Karen Bass that's got homeless.
I mean, I want you to think about this. I did not know that about the horses, but that's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
But think about it. When you leave your house, we guys, we never leave without our wallet. And there's nothing in my wallet I really need except one thing, because I don't carry cash. I pay for everything with Apple Pay, right? But I got to have my driver's license. So I have so I take the wallet. How many times, you out there in the listening audience, how many times have you left your house and realized, oh man, I forgot my driver's license, and you go back home, right? Yeah, I mean, it's only with voting, where they say you can't have ID, you can't produce ID, you want to get a good laugh, guys. You'll like this, Richie. Go to Facebook, look up Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz's profile on Facebook, and look at her every day visiting groups of black people in this black district she's running in Broward County. She's never been around this many black people in her life. It's ridiculous. But, it's a funny thing to look at. But they used to say, and they changed this recently. Years ago, when Republicans were advocating for voter ID, was when George W. Bush was president. And they said blacks don't have ID for some reason. They don't have ID, They can't afford driving. But now they've updated that to, you need to have a passport or a birth certificate or something else. I'm sorry. Everyone in the United States, no matter how poor they are, have ID. The poorest of the poor have to have ID to get government assistance, right?
Let me say this.
Come on.
Yeah, you go on YouTube and watch these police Axiom, these body cams. How many times do you see police officers pulling people over and they give them a fake ID?
Yeah.
They don't want. So the bottom line is this: and like the horse industry, the reason that is because they want to make sure the integrity of the horse racing industry, the integrity of the election is the most important thing that we have as Americans.
Well, I got to tell you, I was very proud of our Postmaster General, who said that for the states that don't comply with Trump's requirements on the voter rolls, that they're not going to deliver the mail-in ballots. Did you see that yesterday?
Yeah, and they already have Democrats saying that's not constitutional. Let me tell you something about Democrats.
I can't wait.
That called you up. That black caller that called you up.
Which one?
That was saying that Trump, the one that says that the Housing Act wasn't passed and that would have helped the people. As a black man, as an American, as part of this fabric of this country, although the history was tainted, you're now in a situation where we're all one. We're Americans. Do you want the jihadist, democratic, communists taking over? And the ones that you think that are not, they're giving them everything they want because they're afraid they're going to be primaried and voted out from their own.
I love it. I love what they say. This is what the Democrats say, okay? Oh, it's election night. Okay, we got to get the mail-out ballots in. How many votes does Rahman need to beat Spencer Pratt? Okay, tell that to the mail-in voting people. Exactly. They know the number. And this great postmaster general who stood up and said, we're not going to deliver the mail-in ballots past that due date for these states. That's a really gutsy move. I'm so proud of that guy. I don't even know his name. I got to find out his name. Very proud of him.
Well, let me say this about President Trump. To me, there is a total conspiracy. You followed up with that gas deal that you said, that he's trying to get the gas prices lower. You're right. You're 100% right when you said that they want Democrats in there. They try to keep Trump out every which way, the press, everybody else, and now it's the oil industry.
That's right.
This guy, let me tell you something. When you see gas, when the Straits of Hormuz were closed off and gas jumped over $1.50 in 2 days, what was that all about?
Yeah.
You know, the gas is a commodity. We have all the gas we need in this country.
The gas prices, it's almost like the diamond prices, right? How they control it. Mm-hmm. And the local gas stations, listen, gas has been down, the oil prices have been down for over a week, like going on 2 weeks. So the gas that's getting delivered now and the oil to the refineries is at the new lower prices. So, you know, that and they're keeping the prices up because they think they can.
It's not just that. There's a lot of independent gas stations. I had somebody in the family that owned their own gas station.
Yeah, you can charge what you want.
They set their own price.
That's right. Hey, Richie, I gotta hold on. All right, Richie, I gotta run, but I appreciate the call. All right, you take care. Let me take another call or two, and then we got to other things. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. What's your name?
JR.
JR. Okay, JR. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, I was calling about your partner that called from Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
They talking about how they need your mate name and all that type of stuff.
Yes.
But one thing about it, your Social Security number gonna track you anyway.
Correct.
So that's not an excuse for people not to get their IDs and stuff together.
We know why they oppose the proof of citizenship, right? We know why.
Yeah.
We know why. And they know why, too.
Yeah, I would just calling just to say that. Your Social Security going to track you.
All right. All right, man. Take care. Appreciate the call. All right. You know, now, we had Father's Day over the weekend, and I meant to share this on Monday with you guys, but my wife and my daughter got me very good cards. But this card here I'm going to share from my wife. My wife she gets the best cards, okay? And she's the best gift buyer. My wife and daughter are both very good gift buyers. They always get you the perfect thing. I suck at gift giving. I don't know what to get people. I'm very bad at it. But my wife got me this super cool Father's Day card. And it's a Trump Father's Day card. And it's super cool. I'm going to put it up to the microphone because, let me open up the card. This is my Father's Day card from my wife.
Your approval rating in the family through the roof. Absolutely incredible numbers. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, there you go. See, I got Father's Day from President Trump. And when you open it up, it's President Trump at a rally giving a speech. It's pretty funny. I got to tell you, what a great card I got from my daughter got me a great card too. It's not a Trump card, but it's another super cool card. It's pretty awesome, isn't it? Absolutely. I keep these cards. My wife gets me, and my daughter both. They give me these really cool cards. Yeah, I love it though. It's pretty cool.
Your approval rating in the family through the roof. Absolutely incredible numbers. Happy Father's Day.
Yeah, isn't that awesome? That's right. That's a great Father's Day card. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Coastal Weight Loss Secret. Hey, listen, guys, it's a hot summer, isn't it? Oh man, and you're wearing your summer clothes. You want to look good. You want to lose weight. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret. And one of the things I noticed a couple weeks ago, we had a radio station event at H2 Ocean in Stewart with Congressman Brian Mast, and it was a hot day. It was really a hot day, and I noticed, since I've lost all this weight, I handle the heat so much better than I used to. When I was heavier, I don't like to refer to myself as heavy, whatever. I'm a little vain, what can you do? But before I lost all this weight, the heat really got to me. And not only do I look great, I've lost all this weight, I've kept it off without exercise, without starving myself, eating foods I would normally eat, without any pills, without any shots. I've kept all the weight off. I haven't gained back a single ounce. But I've just noticed during these really super hot summer days where the heat index is over 100 degrees, that the heat doesn't bother me like it did before I lost weight. Listen, look good over the summer in that swimsuit too. Call Coastal Weight Loss Secret and schedule your no-charge consultation. You can do it. I did it. You can do it. This was my first weight loss program I'd ever been on, and I was a success. I lost more weight than my target, and because I didn't think I could I was worried I couldn't do it. I lost more than my original target weight, and I've kept it all off. Here's the number, 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightloss.secret.com. We'll be right back. All right, guys, if you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is pinned in the live chat. We'll be right back.
How would you like to find your next great read without wasting hours? Your books. You can do just that. NovelHolland.com. NovelHolland.com is an ebook store built for readers who care about quality. Unlike massive online bookstores that overwhelm you with endless choices, every title is selected with readers in mind, so you can spend less time searching and more time reading. And at NovelHolland.com, when you buy a book, it's yours. You're not locked into a proprietary platform or forced to use a specific device. Just download your books, read them where you go, share them with your friends and family. And best of all, great books aren't expensive either. Every book at NovelHolland.com is just $3.99. There's also a subscription plan for just $5.99. Stop sorting through millions of books that you'll never read when someone else has already found the good ones for you. Visit NovelHolland.com right now. It's NovelHalla. NovelHolland.com. A curated library of books you'll actually enjoy. NovelHolland.com. Comfort, style, and peace of mind, and you will be able to make that transformation with AvenComfy.com. AvenComfy.com is your destination for premium furniture, elegant home decor, cozy rugs, smart storage solutions, and everything you need to transform ordinary rooms into extraordinary spaces. Go to the store right now, AvenComfy.com, and take a look at one of those popular featured products. Twin size metal bed frame. Its sturdy, heavy-duty mattress foundation offers 18 inches of valuable storage space underneath. It's easy to assemble too, and no box spring is required. And best of all, it's on sale, 25% off the regular price. From the modern style of the Brooklyn and Otto collections to the luxurious comfort of suite real-world advice from someone who's been there and understands what parents are going through. A copy of Teaching the Diapers from author Kimberly Rich on Amazon. It also makes a great baby shower gift. Teaching the Diapers on Amazon.
All right, we have just over a minute. We'll be back. So if you're on hold, hang in there. I got some other things I want to get to when we get back. And, you know, I was telling you that someone in my family had gotten like a really serious health diagnosis. It was like life-changing. We were like making final arrangements and found out that they were misdiagnosed. Those of you that are Patreon supporters, I tell you that if you become a Patreon supporter, you get access to live streams where I talk about things I don't talk about here, and a lot of things I cannot talk about here. I did a live stream last night on Patreon right before I went to bed, because I went to bed really early. And I said who in my family and what they were misdiagnosed with, and also talked about some things I cannot talk about here. So become a Patreon supporter and get access to all of those exclusive live streams. The link is in the description of the video, guys. Okay, we got about 15 seconds. All right, we're back. It's the Steve Kane Show. My name is Brian, and welcome. You know, I was talking in the first hour about how lucky the how lucky the earthquake victims are of Venezuela, and the I keep saying hurricane because that's what we have. Let me start over. Oh my goodness, it's live, okay? And unlike some shows, some of which are even nationally syndicated, we don't have scripts written. It blows me away that people have scripts and writers on radio shows. Oh my goodness. I was talking in the first hour about how lucky the earthquake victims of Venezuela are right now, because Venezuela is a part of the United States. And the president of Venezuela is President Trump. And no matter who is running Venezuela, the earthquake would have happened, right? It's an act of God. But the aftermath is completely different, however bad it is. President Trump says it's really bad down there. And who knows? It could be aftershocks, who knows? Could you imagine, what must the difference be when your earthquake relief comes from President Trump versus President Maduro, right? And his lunatic wife. I think Maduro's wife was probably the real president. He looks like a clown, like an idiot, you know, but the wife is a real nasty person from what I understand. But the help that Venezuela is going to receive after this god-awful earthquake down there is going to be first world American help, right? What must it be like to live in an impoverished country that is run by corrupt dictators and communists, and you have a major natural disaster down there? You know, my daughter has a friend in Venezuela. You know, like a lot of kids in their 20s, you know, she likes to game online and stuff, and she has a friend down there that's a Twitch streamer in Venezuela, and that's how he feeds his family, is Twitch streaming. You know, and I asked her to ask him how, when Maduro was removed by President Trump, you know, how he felt about it. He said it was the best day of his life. The best day of his life when Maduro was gone. Best day. And that was the next day he said that. She asked him the next day, right? Sent my daughter a text message. She texted him. He texted her back. She showed it to me. Tell your dad it was the best day of my life. Never been this happy. You know? And I got to tell you, I just couldn't imagine, because we've had, you know, before Rick Scott, our senator, was governor, hurricanes were really bad in Florida, meaning that the aftermath was. I'm not going to go through it. I've talked about it many times, but Governor Rick Scott and Ron DeSantis, but mostly Rick Scott, has done a lot of things that help us after a storm. As an example, before Rick Scott, who's our senior senator now, but he was governor for 8 years, you wouldn't be able to get gas. And one of the reasons was if power went out the gas pumps didn't work. Now gas stations, because of Rick Scott, have generators so that they can run their gas pumps after a hurricane. And he did many other things. I'm not going to go through it, but hurricanes before Rick Scott it was awful. I remember one of our, we used to be on AM 1470, right? Remember AM 1470? And that station was off the air for 2 weeks after a hurricane because power was out in Boca, and finally got back on the air because Bill Lewis. You guys remember Bill Lewis? You know, he used to be on the air with us, and he brought a generator from his house to the radio station, the power of the radio station. But you know, it got pretty scary, and I can remember sometimes after Hurricane Andrew was the first big hurricane aftermath that I was in. I was on, we were on the air during that, and the aftermath of a hurricane, which is a natural disaster, it can be pretty rough. But knowing that we're a first world country with first world relief efforts, things get taken care of pretty quick. Look at what happened when Sanibel Island's bridge got knocked out at the Gulf of America between the mainland, and Governor DeSantis had it rebuilt and public structures were going on it like right away, right? Could you imagine what it must be like if you're in some third world country like Venezuela that's run by corrupt, incompetent dictators and communists like Maduro? What happens when there's a natural disaster? It's got to be one of the worst experiences ever. I mean, I can remember what it was like not having electricity for 2 weeks, and especially during the summer and the heat and the stores being out of food and things like that. I remember when I was a kid, we had a blizzard in Ohio, the blizzard of 77, 78 when I was a little kid. And I remember going to the grocery store. There was like no food hardly in the grocery stores. But we're a first world country that has top of the line infrastructure to help. You know, we had that big hurricane where the radio station didn't have power for 2 weeks. You know, and it was really bad. I can't remember which one it was. Was it Irma? I can't remember. Irma? I can't remember. But I remember FEMA was at the Festival Flea Market, which doesn't exist anymore, and they were there and helping people. It's really amazing. But if you're in a place like Venezuela and you have an earthquake, and you have this communist dictator Maduro regime, they don't care about you at all. You're on your own. They're not going to help you. But right now, Venezuela, President Trump, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of War, and the American people that are MAGA, we consider Venezuela a part of the United States, like our 51st state. And Venezuela is going to get the same type of help that any U.S. state or territory would get, to the best of our ability, even though it's on another continent, South America. Right? And whatever help and relief the United States is capable of providing, they're going to get it in Venezuela. And they wouldn't have gotten it before. All right, if you're on hold, hang in there. So, you know, I would rather be in Venezuela after an earthquake with the United States running the country like we are today, as opposed to the Maduro regime. Wouldn't you? Absolutely. All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll take our break and come back with your calls and more. But I want to ask you this. Are you in pain? Stop the suffering. You do not have to live in pain. Go see Dr. Philip Appleton. You know, Dr. Appleton's amazing because I tell you often, and I think this is a common thing, you start I thought as you grew older, aches and pains were just a part of it. You had to get used to it. And pains that I had, I didn't do anything about because I didn't think, well, I'm getting older. That's life. Because I remember my grandparents, and then I met Dr. Philip Appleton. And what I learned through Dr. Philip Appleton and his robotic laser wave pain treatment, pain is a part of growing older only if you choose to live in pain. I choose to live a pain-free life naturally because with Dr. Appleton's robotic laser wave pain treatment, there's no shots, no injections, no pills, and no surgery, and no downtime, and the treatment's painless, and appointments are not necessary. Walk-ins are welcome even on Saturdays. The consultation's free too. So stop aching, stop being in pain, and rid yourself of pain. Say bye-bye to your pain like I've done. Go see Dr. Appleton. Here's his number, 954-973-0710. 954-973-0710. That's 954-973-0710. And online, AppletonCairo.com. We'll take a quick break for the bottom of the hour and be back with more after this. All right, guys, I'll be right back.
Are you carrying stress, anxiety, self-doubt, or emotional wounds that seem impossible to move beyond? You're not alone, but there is help at Trans Men, where you will find licensed therapist Kyla, who helps adults just like you throughout Virginia and Hawaii find healing, clarity, and lasting personal growth through compassionate telehealth counseling. Guided by the powerful philosophy, Men and Transcend, Kyla helps clients address the experiences, the patterns, and the beliefs that may be holding them back while building the resilience, confidence, and skills needed to move forward with purpose. Whether you're navigating trauma, anxiety, life transitions, self-esteem challenges, or simply seeking greater emotional wellness, Transmend offers a personalized, trauma-informed, and holistic approach designed to create meaningful, long-term change. Kyla is also author of a guided coloring and journaling book that features original reflections, journal prompts, and poetry created to inspire healing, mindfulness, self-discovery, as well as personal growth. If you're ready to mend what has been weighing you down and transcend your experience into your next chapter, as well as learn more about Kyla's book, visit transmend.com. That's TRANSCMEND. Transmend.com. Mend and transcend. Do you ever feel overwhelmed before your day even begins? Like your to-do list is running your life. Your motivation has disappeared, and no matter how hard you try, you're stuck. From author Victoria Magic comes a refreshing, down-to-earth book that will help you stop waiting for motivation and start building it one small step at a time. From overwhelmed to empowered, a practical guide to self-motivation in everyday life. Available on Amazon. With this must-read book, you'll learn simple, proven techniques to beat procrastination, quiet negative self-talk, reduce stress, boost productivity, and create lasting momentum. There's no unrealistic routines, no complicated systems, just practical, actionable tools that fit into real life, even on your busiest days. Whether you're a working parent, caregiver, student, or busy professional, author Victoria Magic shows you how to turn that feeling of being overwhelmed into action, build confidence, and make meaningful progress without guilt, pressure, or burnout. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle and paperback and start making progress one small, powerful step at a time. From overwhelmed to empowered, a practical guide to self-motivation in everyday life. From author Victoria Magic on Amazon. Let's be honest. How many hours? How many dead ends? How many wasted credits are you really just trying to get AI to do what you actually need? You're not alone, but you can stop all the hassle. Go to AISearchPrompt.com. AISearchPrompt.com is the Google search engine for AI prompts. The AI prompt marketplace for everyone. AISearchPrompt.com. Share the link on all your social media. AISearchPrompt.com is your platform.
All right, and we'll be back in just over a minute. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'm going to bring up some other topics. Someone just said MAGA should be ashamed of what? Call me on the air and tell me what we should be ashamed of. The 888-465-2631. Call me right now on the air and tell me what we should be ashamed of. I will take that call. I'd love to hear it. What should MAGA be ashamed of? I'd love to hear that. 888-465-2631. The number is pinned in the live chat. I'd love to hear that. You think that person's going to call? I'd love to hear. Call me. What should we be ashamed of? Yep, the number. Call me. 15 seconds. We'll be back. 888-465-2631. All right, welcome back, everyone. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. And of course, this is where MAGA comes to talk. However, you don't have to be MAGA to talk. If you disagree with us, you are very much welcome and encouraged to call in, all right? And those of you that are new to this program, all of our calls are 100% screenless and unvetted. And what that means is when you call in, no one answers the phone. We just put you automatically on hold. I control the phones, right? No matter which studio I'm in, I control the phones. I've done this forever. I just put you on hold. No one answers the phone. I don't know who's on hold until I pick it up on the air and say, what's your name, where are you calling from, and you tell me. I have no idea. The only thing I know is how long you've been on hold, but I have no idea who you are, where you're calling from, nothing. And I only keep track of how long you've been on hold so I can take the calls to the best of my ability in the order in which they've come in. But we do that by design on the program. It didn't always start that way. It started because I was on the air overnights from 3 to 6 in the morning, and the radio station that I was at then would only pay me. They would only pay a board op. They wouldn't pay me to be on the air. So I said, well, I'll be my own board op. So I got paid the board op rate to do the 3 to 6 a.m. show in the middle of the night. And so I started screening the calls my own, right? Just like by answering them, right? Instead of having a board op screen the calls, I just would put people on hold. And I did it by design. And then when we had the ability to have someone answer the phones, have like a board op, while I was on the air, we never continued with doing that way. We kept it where the calls were screenless. And we could have someone answer the phones, but we do it screenless because a number of reasons. One, it makes the show more interesting, I think, for a number of reasons. I don't know what's coming. Just by where, like when you call a show, they put your first name up or even just where you're calling from. Like that liberal Trump derangement syndrome sufferer that called me in the first hour from Chicago. If I see Chicago on the line, I know it's probably going to be a liberal. If I don't know who's on the line, I have no idea what you're going to ask me, what your tone is going to be, what your angle is, nothing. From just a location, you could tell a lot. And it makes it unpredictable for me, right? Which it makes it more interesting for me, which I think would make it more interesting for you. Also, what a lot of people do when they have either a board op or sometimes they have a board op and a call screener, the person calling tells the call screener or the board op what they want to talk about. And then when they get on the air, they're repeating themselves. So it's not as exciting when they're repeating themselves. When you're saying it the first time, it's more interesting. And then we did try to go with a board op answering the phones once, and this guy was a saboteur. He wouldn't put any calls through. And I remember Steve and I, we had our own studio, and it was getting remodeled. The building was getting new carpeting, and they were doing some work on the studio. So we had to go to the radio station for 2 weeks, and we went like 3 days. We had like no calls. And I told Steve, I said, he's not putting the calls through. He's hanging up on and Steve's like, there's no way. And Steve came in and he heard him in the other room, he heard him doing it. And he's like, oh my goodness. So we went back, and we've kept it that way. Not that Mike, our board out, would do that, because he would not do that, but this particular board out. But the main reason we do it is it makes the show more interesting and it makes it unpredictable. And also, those of you that call in, maybe you'll catch us. We don't know who you are, where you're calling from. We don't know anything about you. You get on the air, who knows? You may be able to catch us, right? Now, before we do go back to the phones, though, there's a few other topics I want to bring up. If you're on hold, stand by. If you would like to call in, the number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. Ted Cruz has a podcast, and he was talking about the Democrats in 28. Listen.
By the way, the charter member of the AOC for President Committee will be Chuck
utterly terrified that AOC will primary him and beat him in a Democrat primary. But here's my second prediction, which I made before, but I want to repeat. AOC will run for president, and Mamdani is going to run against Chuck Schumer for the Senate, and Mamdani will beat Chuck Schumer for the Senate. Both those predictions, I think you can take them to the bank.
And Ted Cruz is a guy who knows, okay, in that Senate cloakroom, what's going on. Wow. Now, I will say this. When AOC first got elected to the House, okay, I said on the air then, they are grooming her to run for president. And you guys laughed at me that were listening back then and everything else. And I said, no. In fact, a number of years ago, after she was in Congress, but it was years ago now, the Disney Channel had a television show about a young Puerto Rican girl from New York who grew up to be president. And it was her telling stories of when she was in middle school or something. And I said then, this show is about AOC. And it's to condition those middle schoolers, by the time she's old enough, AOC, to run for president, they'll be like in their 30s or something. And they'll be, you know what I mean? And there we have it. And I was telling you how the Democratic Socialists are now the party bosses. They are. They are the party bosses now, the Democratic Socialists. And that's what New York showed us the other night. And they're going to be behind AOC. So Ted Cruz, I think, is certainly right that she's going to run for president. And so is Gavin, and they very well may be running mates. But it's very but what he dropped there at the end was not AOC, but Mamdani is going to be the senator to replace Chuck Schumer. And that's the first time I've heard anyone say that. And that had not occurred to me till I heard Ted Cruz say that on his podcast. What are your thoughts on that? And we've seen the juice he has when he got these socialist Muslim lunatics elected the other night. That is frightening to me that Mamdani would be in the Senate. I'll take Chuck Schumer any day over Mamdani, right? Wouldn't you? Pretty scary stuff. All right, let's go. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, John. John from Jupiter, Florida.
Okay.
And by way of New Jersey, I drive up and down the East Coast all the time, and this is one of the best shows I've seen. So I've just been down here for about 2 years, but I try to get in the car whenever I can to listen to it.
Awesome.
Anyway, this gouging thing, I told my wife this whole thing with the gas and everything, it's all gouging. That's what it is. These companies are gouging, you know. I don't know if they're independents or whatever. The same thing happened after COVID. These restaurants, the prices doubled right after, and you know, at
Yes.
that point I didn't mind. I said they deserve to make a little bit more money right now, so I didn't mind paying a little bit more. But this gas thing, I think they're just gouging. They're just going for the money.
Well, and there's a difference. By the way, welcome to the show, and thank you for tuning into us. You know, the thing about there's a difference between restaurants and the gas stations. Going to a restaurant is a luxury. It's like going to Disney World, right? It's a luxury. It's an, you know, gas is life. Gas is food that you make yourself, okay? What I mean, not restaurant food. Like you can cook at home and eat cheaper than going to a restaurant. That's you need gas to live because you can't get to work, right? And things like that. So gouging when it's something vital like that, that's when it becomes gouging. A restaurant can charge whatever they want. You know, I went to this restaurant once in Boca, and I ordered a milkshake, and they wanted like $20 for it. I didn't look at the price before I ordered it. I couldn't believe it, you know. But they could charge what they want for the milkshake. It's a luxury item. Gas is another thing.
Sure.
And
you have a choice. You have a choice which restaurant you want to go to. There's one restaurant I was going to every Friday, and they were so low. The prices were so low. A Thai restaurant in New Jersey. I had to tell the owner. I said, "You better raise your prices, or you're going to go out of business." You know.
Yeah.
So I was telling them to raise their price. But, you know, I think this whole thing is all about gouging. They're gouging. They're charging more than they have to, and prices are going to come down. Did you hear Trump last night? He said, "Hey, prices are coming down to $2.50," and I believe that.
Well, the last thing these oil companies want is President Trump investigating them and looking into them. That's the last thing they want.
Right.
Well, listen, I got to run, John, but welcome to the program, and take care, man.
Thank you.
Call again. All right. If you're on hold, stand by. The number's toll-free, 888-465-2631, 888-465-2631. We're going to check in with John from Lighthouse Medical.
This is Brian. I'm at Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano. I'm with John. He is the Chief Operating Officer at Lighthouse Medical Center, but also the Director of Neuropathy Treatment. John, a lot of people may have neuropathy and not even know it. What are some of the signs and symptoms people may be experiencing?
Well, Brian, it's common that people will have numbness on the bottom of their feet, burning, tingling, can be pain or discomfort. One of the most common ones is balance problems, and people don't really have some of the other symptoms yet, but they notice their balance is a real issue. Some people can have one symptom, some people can have 8 symptoms, some people can have 3. It just depends on the person, but that's why we have to assess them individually.
I remember when I was a kid, my grandmother used to fall down all the time. She probably had neuropathy.
It's a possibility. Balance is one of the most important things to people's activities of daily living, going to the restroom, getting up, eating, just doing their normal things. So it's really important that we assess those patients for neuropathy so that we can ensure that they have a good quality of life.
So if someone thinks they have neuropathy, or maybe they have some of the symptoms you talked about, they can come in, you'll give them an examination and let them know.
Oh, yes. We're very extensive in our examinations. One of the biggest complaints from patients who have been to other doctors for neuropathy assessments is they do very minimal testing. We do very extensive testing, blood testing, genetic blood testing, overall health evaluations. We got to get someone's health optimized. It's not just about the neuropathy. It's about their lifestyle choices. It's about their diet. It's about their genetics. It's about correcting the blood work. It's something that we have to assess the patient as a whole to get them to a point where they don't have neuropathy anymore.
If you have neuropathy or think you may have neuropathy, call Lighthouse Medical Center in Pompano right now and schedule your no-charge consultation. The number is 754-222-6642. 754-222-6642. And online, lighthousemedicalcenter.com.
All right, if you're on hold, stand by. We'll take our break and be right back. All right, guys, we're clear. We will be back shortly. And if you're on hold, stand by. If you'd like to call in, the number is 888-465-2631. It is pinned in the live chat. And if you guys could all do me the favor of liking the video, I'd really appreciate that, guys. Liking the video gets the program recommended to people that have not yet found the channel, all right? And that helps out a lot, guys. Okay, I'm looking at the oil prices now. Oil's down to $69.78 a barrel right now. It was over 100 just over a month ago. Okay, we'll be back in a couple minutes. We're still in radio break. Okay, just queue up a couple things. If you're on hold, hang in there. No, you're all welcome to call in. All right, guys, I'll take a quick break and be right back.
Do you ever feel overwhelmed? navigating trauma, anxiety, life transitions, self-esteem challenges, or simply seeking greater emotional wellness. Transmend offers a personalized, trauma-informed, and holistic approach designed to create meaningful, long-term change. Kyla is also author of a guided coloring and journaling book that features original reflections, journal prompts, and poetry created to inspire healing, mindfulness, self-discovery, as well as personal growth. If you're ready to weighing you down and transform your experience into your next chapter, as well as learn more about Kyla's book, visit transmend.com. SCMEND, transmend.com. Mend and transcend.
All right, we have about 20 seconds and we'll be back. If you're on hold, hang in there. Go to the phones when we get back. I got more to cover too. Oh man, the show's flying by. Just over an hour left. And I came on early today. Stand by. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Conservative Doug.
Hey, Doug.
You know, I know the Democratic Party has gone insane. But I don't think they could ever decide to put AOC up because he's not even qualified to be in Congress. He's certainly not qualified to be president. What I was more concerned about is I've been hearing a lot of these blue MAGA. You know, the Democrats are trying to pull something that they're MAGA, and if they get a candidate out there that sounds like he's MAGA.
What? What are you talking about?
Somebody that.
What do you mean, fake MAGA? They're running fake MAGA candidates?
No, they're saying that they're going to become blue MAGA.
What is that?
Blue for
What's blue MAGA?
I don't. Yeah, that's what I said. What is blue MAGA?
There's no such thing.
Yeah, well, this is what I heard. They're talking about. They want the Democratic Party to be more like the Kennedys back in the old days. So the way to do it is become blue MAGA and use all our talking points and become just like
Well,
us.
I told you I've talked about this a lot. That's what Bill Clinton did in 1994. When Dick Morris ran, he was running against Bob Dole right after the Republican Revolution with Newt Gingrich, and it was very effective. But they won't do it. Their party has been taken over by nutbags.
That's for sure. And if they put AOC up, well, it'll be great for us because I don't think the American people would ever want to vote for AOC. Bad enough they probably have.
No, you know, I was watching a lot of the reaction to these socialist Muslims that won in New York, and they're so excited. And the talking point they have, I heard 2 callers called me on the show yesterday that had this talking point. So I think it was first broadcast here, and then I heard it on The View and on some other places. Well, yeah, I support police and fire. Well, they don't support the police, by the way. They want to defund them. But they're trying to tell us like the fire department is socialism, the police is socialism. None of that. You know, one of the most important books ever written was George Orwell's Animal Farm. And if you've never read Animal Farm, I know a lot of people think it's for kids. It used to be like required reading when I was in middle school. I think we used to have to read that like in 8th grade or something, Animal Farm, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But they don't want you to read it anymore because it's an anti-communist book. And it's one of the most brilliant books about these socialist communists, you know, and there's a famous line in it, not all pigs are equal, but some pigs are more equal than others, right? And it really explains why you have these communists like Bernie Sanders and AOC who are multimillionaires, even though they still promote their communist ideology. But fire departments and police, Joy Behar, oh no, I want the fire to come. The fire department, if there's a fire, that's socialism. It's not. But the Democrats showed yesterday in the pundit class that they are what Ronald Reagan said, Americans will not accept communism, but if you call it socialism, they'll accept every last tenet of it, and that's what's happening right now.
Yeah, exactly. You know, yesterday I talked to a liberal. I didn't know he was a socialist, and he says, so we're talking about New York, of course. So he says, so what's wrong with socialism? I said, what's wrong with socialism? It doesn't work. Oh, yes, it does.
Where?
Why should all these billionaires have? Yeah, exactly. I says, Well, he says, why should all these billionaires have all this money and not even pay taxes? I said, what are you talking about? Most of the money, taxes are paid by the rich people. These people are just, they're brainwashed, and they don't want to hear anything, and they just think that free stuff is good for us because the rich people are too rich, and give it trickle down doesn't work.
Well, you know, there's an old line. There's an old line. I haven't heard this in a long time. You know, they're changing our language. That's out of George Orwell's 1984, right? George Orwell, great writer. But they're changing the meanings of words and phrases. But one thing you used to hear all the time was this from Republicans. When you would hear these liberal idiots attack rich people, you'd say, well, I've never worked for a poor person, right? I mean, and that's true. And, you know, I mean, you want the boss to be rich.
Yeah. I said to the guy yesterday, I said, you know, New York, everybody's leaving the state that has money. They're getting out of it. Look at President Trump. He left. He still has his apartment there, but he's here in Florida now, man. Everybody wants to get.
Well, he said yesterday when he was with the NATO chief yesterday, and he was talking about how the uber rich are leaving New York because the super rich still have to pay a state tax, and the super rich. And, you know, so they have to pay not just federal estate tax, but New York State estate tax. So he says these uber rich people die, 90% of the money goes to taxes. They leave the kids nothing, so they're moving to Florida. You know, and that's what socialism does. People leave.
The people with money leave, that's for sure. And where they leave is these people the workers that don't have a job anymore because everybody left. You know, so they're nuts. They think this is going to work.
Like I remember I worked at a radio station, and there were 3 guys on the air. This was like around 1990-ish. There were 3 guys on the air that were making 6 figures a year. Okay, and everyone except me, because I understood, but everyone at the radio station that was on the air was always ticked off. Why are they making so much money? And I'm not. And everybody was mad. And I would tell them they're supporting the rest of us because they're the ones that are commercially viable. You know, you hear me doing. I knew early on, you know, you wanted to be able to, you know, do commercials and things like that. I said their endorsements and commercials are keeping the rest of us on the air, right?
Yeah.
And what I learned, Steve used to talk about this a lot, and it's so true, is people are paid what they're worth. And by what their worth is, not their worth as a human being, but on what they bring to the company, right? You know, what is your value to the company? And these guys that were making these 3 guys that were making 6 figures, you know, I remember how angry people would get. You know, at that. And they were always griping about it. I'm like, well, none of us would be on the air if it wasn't for these 3 guys. Because, you know, none of us are well known enough to have sponsors and do it and think, you know, and I was just starting out and I knew and I understood this, you know. But that's the way it is, you know, and these gripers that are mad that the boss is a trillionaire like Elon Musk, that's awesome. You want to work for a company where the boss is a trillionaire, a millionaire, a billionaire. That means it's successful. Hey, Doug, I got to run. Before we break, I don't, you know me in sports. I don't talk about sports too much because I don't know that much about it, but I do know this. Caitlin Clark with the WNBA is the victim of racist violence and hate crimes. I saw the video of Caitlin Clark at the WNBA. See, what's happened at the WNBA is the black players believe that it's a black sport, basketball, that white girls shouldn't be playing basketball. And, you know, Caitlin has made the WNBA, you know, I was talking about with Doug there about, you know, viable. Caitlin Clark has made the WNBA financially viable for the first time. And all these racist girls are mad at her. And I saw her, she was attacked on the court, and one of the girls choked her. And you can see the picture. I put it on my X at Brian Craig Show. You guys can look at it. I got it still. She like choked her, put her hand around her throat when she was on the ground. And liberals think that it's like when Vanilla Ice, when the rappers were going after Vanilla Ice, and Arsenio Hall was attacking Arsenio Ice because he had the #1 rap album and he won all the awards one year, and they say, no, this is for black people only. It's racist. We'll be right back. Have you guys seen the video and the stills of Caitlin Clark being the racial attack? I'm not sure who choked her. I don't know. I don't know who choked her. But there's no doubt about it. She was the victim of a racial hate crime. I remember Arsenio Hall having, I'll talk about it when we get back. Because I was up against the break. I would have brought it up, but I didn't realize. I thought I had another minute. Okay, we'll be back shortly. Okay, we'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. We're in radio break. But if you watch, I have the video and the still on my X. And if you watch it, you'll see that it is a racially targeted hate crime. No doubt about it. Okay, I'm going to do that. I need that. Okay, hang in there, guys. About 2.5 minutes and we'll be back from the radio break. And I just looked at it again. The Caitlin Clark, it's on my X. I'm not going to show it. I can't show it on YouTube because I can't show the game. So, but you can go on my X and look at it, and then look at the still I have when they're choking her. I'm not sure who that is choking her, but it's bad. She got punched in the throat. Oh, they got the name of it, but she got punched in the throat. It's pretty bad. Okay, we got about just over a minute and we'll be back. Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, Vanilla Ice lives here in Palm Beach. I've never got to meet him. I've always wanted to meet Vanilla Ice. Everybody loves Vanilla Ice. All right, stand by. Less than a minute, about 50 seconds. Stand by. 15 seconds, guys. All right, the 8 o'clock hour has begun. I want to go back to this because I didn't realize how close I was to the top when I brought it up about Caitlin Clark, and I just watched the video again during the break. Caitlin Clark has made the WNBA like a commercially viable operation, which it really wasn't before because they didn't have any superstars, right? And she was attacked last night. She was punched in the throat when she was down on the court after she'd been knocked down. She got hit twice from behind and then the side. She got punched in the throat. She fell to the ground. And when she's on the ground on the court, the other player either choked her or punched her in the throat when she was on the ground. No doubt it's a racial attack. And the black girls of the WNBA have decided that the WNBA is only for black girls. And they're so just fuming that a white girl has made their league viable. I mean, you know, this is insane. Like it's only what girls, ladies basketball is only for black girls, black women. And I mentioned Vanilla Ice, and I wanted to, you know, there's sometimes when black liberals believe that we're doing things we shouldn't be doing, meaning white people. And if I remember correctly, it was 1991 when Vanilla Ice won all the American Music Awards for Best Rap Artist of the Year, Best Rap Album. And and then he got nominated for a Grammy for Ice Baby and all of that. And I remember Arsenio Hall, and this was the beginning of the end for Arsenio Hall, and this is why he eventually went off the air, is he became a political militant on the air. And I remember when Vanilla Ice, and you know, what Vanilla Ice did for hip-hop was amazing. After Vanilla Ice, 80% of rap music was being bought by white kids for years and years and years, 80% of it at record stores, because we still used record stores back then. And I didn't listen to hip-hop or rap really too much until Vanilla Ice, and little Beastie Boys, but I really wasn't into that. You know, I was in the rock, you know, I was in the Van Halen and stuff like that, you know. Pearl Jam and all that in the 90s. But when Vanilla Ice won all those American Music Awards, liberal blacks went nuts. And I remember watching Arsenio Hall. He had Vanilla Ice came out, and he had Flavor Flav with him. Remember Flavor Flav? It's a funny thing. Flavor Flav was on The Apprentice. And Vanilla Ice, I can't remember if he was on The Apprentice, but he's going to be at the 250 concert in D.C. Remember Flavor Flav? He had always wore the clock. He still does. He still wears the clock. And Vanilla Ice was the guest, and he came out with Flavor Flav, and Arsenio kicked Flav off the thing, like, you know. And then Vanilla Ice came down, and you guys can look this up online. And Arsenio Hall spent the entire show with the same attitude that Caitlin Clark gets in the WNBA. How dare you, white person, rap? How dare you, white person, have hit records? How dare you, white person, be a basketball star? Right? How dare you, white person, win Best Rap Artist of the Year? How dare you, white person, get endorsements in the WNBA? These are things for black people only. You know, it's so racist. And in the past, there were two historically white sports that became bigger than ever because black people got involved and became the top people. Tiger Woods with golf. That was a big change for golf. You know, golf went more mainstream than ever. It's not just for white guys anymore. And it got, you know, it was a big change in golf. Venus and Serena Williams in tennis. That's a similar thing. You know, tennis was a stereotypical white sport like golf, and Venus and Serena Williams took it to a whole nother level. And what happens with normal together people, when you have someone like Tiger Woods become the top golfer the world has ever seen, or this Venus and Serena Williams do things in tennis that no one dreamed of, you know, and amazing. We don't get mad and say, hey, tennis is for white girls, golf's for white guys. We're excited because something you like is now more people are watching, it becomes even bigger. right? You don't hear white people. Well, there was that, was it Fuzzy Zeller that made that racist comment about the clubhouse at the Masters? But that was one guy, okay? I'm not going to say what he said. Do you guys remember what was it Fuzzy Zeller that made that racist comment when Tiger won the Masters on TV live? Right before they even gave Tiger the blazer? Oh my goodness. But I remember hearing he had to be drunk. But anyway, but liberal blacks, they said, no, this is WNBA is only for black girls. Rap music's not for Vanilla Ice, it's only for black rap. Now that's changed with hip hop over the years, but in 1991, Vanilla Ice was the Caitlin Clark of hip hop. And you see this happen, and it's really sad. It really is, when you see this racism. All right, now let's get back to the news of the day. But you guys, you look at what happened to Caitlin Clark, and tell me yes or no. Was that a racial attack? Was that a hate crime? Because I know when I saw that was pretty bad. Okay, that was pretty bad what they did to her, getting punched in the throat. Even if you're punching someone, that's off limits. And they're trying to say that the way that she's treated on the court, oh, that's just how the girls play. I haven't seen anyone else get punched in the throat and then hit again when they're on the ground. Have you? No. This is not an MMA fight. It's the WNBA, and they're jealous, of her because she's a star. I don't know, why they're I was talking about the guys making six figures at the radio station. They should be excited that Caitlin Clark is famous and people want to go to their games because it opens them up to more opportunities. But they don't see it that way. They would rather have no one watching and no one going to the games as opposed to play with sold-out crowds and be able to get endorsements that they couldn't get before because people are looking at the WNBA now. But that's not how they look at it. They look at it like liberals, right? They look at it like, Ronald Reagan. I mentioned that quote of Ronald Reagan about socialism and communism, and because of all these socialists that won yesterday. And then there's another famous quote of President Reagan. This is an oldie but a goodie. He said, Ronald Reagan said, when a liberal sees a fat man standing next to a skinny man, the liberal thinks that the fat man only got fat because he exploited the skinny man, right? That's true. I mean, that's just the way it is. But these communists won yesterday, and President Trump, when he was at the Senate, was asked about it. This is President Trump. Okay, now, yeah, he said they're communist, and that's exactly right. They are not socialist, they are communist. And I'm glad he called them out on that. Now, I was watching, when the president was at the Senate yesterday, when we got to see him, I wasn't watching him so much as I was watching John Thune. The body language on John Thune hates President Trump. He hates him. Hates him. And that clip I just played when he's talking about the communists, you can find that online, okay? Go and look at that clip. And look at John Thune, at how tense his mouth is while the president's talking. John Thune, I know that look. He is consumed with hate. He hates President Trump. And it's not Trump derangement syndrome. What it is with John Thune, we're talking about, the clubhouse with Tiger Woods and Fuzzy Zeller and his racist comments. Yesterday, two of the senators changed their vote on the Iran resolutions, right? Rand Paul took the coward's way out and voted, present or something? And Cassidy voted the right way, he changed his vote. Cassidy, who President Trump primaried out. Did you see what they had to do with Cassidy to get him to change his vote, this egomaniac? He went to the White House and got a personal briefing by the Vice President of the United States, and then he changed. He had to be treated like he was king of the world. And I'm looking at this anger in John Thune's face. You can really see it in his lips, in his mouth. The part where President Trump's calling these socialists that won communist in New York, you look at his lips, they're so tense, John Thune's lips. He is fuming with anger. And see, like these girls in the WNBA that don't think white girls should play basketball, the Senate, these old guard establishment senators, this is of both parties, the uniparty ones, the John Thunes, right? They think, one, they are equal to the President of the United States no matter who they are in the Senate. They just think that. They think they're the House of Lords and they're equal to the President. That's number one. But this is a ruling elite class of people that, to use kind of a negative stereotype, if you go up to Worth Avenue in Palm Beach, right, you can tell who the rich people are and who the tourists are. You can tell the people that live in Rhode Island. You know what I'm talking about? There's an elite, right? That's what the Senate uniparty establishment politicians view themselves as. They are the ruling class of our country. And they treat President Trump like those WNBA racist girls towards Caitlin Clark. Who do you think you are? You're just a donor. You're not equal to us. You're the president, yeah, but we're the ruling elite. We're the ruling class. You're not a part of us. You're just a donor. You shouldn't even be here. You don't have a right to be here, like Caitlin Clark. That's how they view it. That's how they view it. And this hateful John Thune. Did they have the body language experts on TV last night? They should have. I'd love to have a body language expert analyze John Thune while he's with the president yesterday, talking to the press. You see it in his mouth. Who do you think you are, President Caitlin Clark Trump? You're not the ruling elite. You don't have a right to be here. We do. And you see it. And that's why they oppose him all the time. Now, I'll tell you this. I was talking to a caller from Jupiter earlier about how you can't live without gas, right? Well, in the state of Florida, you cannot live without air conditioning. Oh, man. When you're outside in this Florida heat, the heat index, those of you that are not from Florida or new to Florida, I always look at the heat index. The heat index in Florida, it's kind of like the wind chill you guys have up north during the winter. It's what the temperature is and what it feels like. And I always look at that heat index, and it'll scare the daylights out of you. It's regularly 102, 103, 104. That's what it feels like, and you know it. And there's just something about when you're outside and it's 96 degrees, the heat index is 102, and you've got a great cool air conditioner. And there's just something about when you walk in the front door of your house with that ice cold air conditioner running. Well, listen, if your air conditioner isn't cooling your house the way it should, if some rooms in your house are hot in the middle of the day instead of cold, or your air conditioner just is blowing hot air, Sloman Central Air Conditioning, listen to this. With Sloman Central Air Conditioning, you can get a high-efficiency 5-ton 18-SEER system that uses R454B refrigerant for just $59.99. Wow. With zero down, zero payments, and zero interest for 18 months. It comes with a 5-year bumper-to-bumper service plan, which includes an annual system maintenance, filter replacement, and refrigerant. So you have no annual maintenance cost. And you'll also receive the Sloman Shield home security system installed with 5 years of professional Central Station monitoring included with your AC package. Give them a call right now. Wow, that's amazing. 561-217-COOL. 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 We'll be right back. All right, guys, hang in there. We'll be right back.
From author Pinky silly.
the candidates
Duct tape
in that
dad.
race.
Perfect for bedtime reading, family story time, or any occasion when you want to celebrate that special bond between dads and their children. And teachers, it also makes a great addition to your classroom reading collection. Duct tape dad is a charming book filled with laughter, imagination, and heart. Order your copy right now on Amazon in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover. And discover why sometimes the best fixes come wrapped in humor and are held together with love. Duct Tape Dad from author Vicki Wellington on Amazon. What if the secret to healthier, more radiant skin wasn't found in a laboratory, but in generations of family tradition? That's exactly what you will find at ShebaOrganics.com, a woman-owned skincare company inspired by the Moroccan heritage of the founder, who's a mother and daughter who spent nearly 20 years sharing their botanical skincare with family and friends before bringing it to the world. Sheba comes from the Moroccan word for wormwood, a healing herb treasured for generations. It's a symbol of comfort, wellness, family, and care. The same values found in every ShebaOrganics.com product. Made with 100% organic ingredients, ShebaOrganics.com helps hydrate, strengthen the skin barrier, and restore balance to dry, stressed, and sensitive skin. When you visit ShebaOrganics.com, discover the healer. It's a deep moisture barrier repair balm that delivers lasting hydration, supports a stronger skin barrier, restores a healthy looking glow, and is specially formulated for dry and reactive skin. Featured on Fox, ABC, NBC, CBS, ESPN, and more. Visit ShebaOrganics.com right now and stock up while savings are available at ShebaOrganics.com. Sheba Organics, healing, heritage, family, and care. ShebaOrganics.com.
All right, we have less than 40 seconds and we'll be back. All right, hang in there. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to go over this with the Save America Act too. I mean, it's just these Democrats. These are the worst Democrats we've ever had. They really are. Okay, 15 seconds. We're back. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. My name is Brian Craig. So did you guys catch the president with the head of NATO yesterday? He was talking about the Save America Act. And, you know, the reason President Trump didn't sign that housing bill is because Hateful Thune and the rest, they won't push through the Save America Act, which is very, very popular. And, you know, President Trump's not wasting any time in this second term. That's why he doesn't sleep, you know. He's getting everything done he can. And everything he's doing is important. But I think the most important thing in his second term is the Save America Act. Because, you know, I don't have to tell you. The Democrats' whole operation is based on that nonsense. But he was asked about it in the meeting with the NATO chief yesterday. I wanted to go through this. Yeah. I mean, there's certain things, I talk about this a lot with President Trump. Most of what he's doing in his second term are things that are nonpartisan when you think about it. And the Save America Act is something that's nonpartisan. A lot of people are wondering, well, but John Thune's a Republican. Why are these Republican establishment elitists opposed to it? Well, because they want to use the same system to stay in power too. Remember, don't forget the Uniparty. We don't talk about the Uniparty anymore, right? Because we had this great victory with the president's reelection. But the Uniparty stays in power regardless if they have a D or R next to their name through all of this system. That will be ended with the Save America Act. They'll lose their control. John Thune, when he was last elected to the Senate, he won close to 70% of the vote. Close to. Do you think he could do that today? And so far as the Spencer Pratt, and I don't know, is Spencer Pratt fighting for that? I don't know if he is or isn't. I don't see him in the news anymore. But the reason it takes so long is because they know how much they lost by and how much they need to make up, and that's what they do. Right? Everybody knows this. And all the polling shows that even among African Americans and Hispanics, over 75% of blacks and over 80% of Hispanics support the passage of the Save America Act. That's been reported by CNN. Right? Among Republicans, it's over 90%, of course. It's one of the most nonpartisan things I've ever seen go through Washington, the Save America Act. And there's one man holding it up. His name's John Thune, who's under, he's part of that elite I was telling you about that think Trump's the Caitlin Clark of politics. He doesn't belong there. Politics is for the ruling elite. You're not a part of the ruling elite, Trump. You're a donor. And it's a threat to the power of the Republican establishment as well. And, this was an amazing thing because I didn't realize how bad the Republican Party was until Trump's first run. And if you remember, in the first campaign, the establishment was behind Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz is all right now, and I like Ted Cruz. But remember, he came up through the bushes. And look up that story with his dad and Lee Harvey Oswald. Nobody can convince me that's not his dad. I don't want to get sidetracked on that. Maybe I'll talk about that another day. But if I remember correctly, didn't Ted Cruz win the Iowa caucus? If I remember correctly, and Trump didn't win the Iowa caucus. Was that right in the first election? I think Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucus, and then Trump came back in New Hampshire and all that. It's been a long time. It's been 10 years, but if I remember, that's what happened. And they thought they had it locked up. And they thought, oh yeah. And then they realized he was viable. And then all of a sudden, when he started, they thought it was over when Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucus. But when they realized that he was truly a viable candidate, because they were telling themselves before, I remember it was so long ago, Shepard Smith was on Fox. And Shepard Smith would say every day what a lot of people said. He's just a reality star. These rallies have nothing to do with politics. They just want to come see the famous celebrity. And then at one point, they realized he's a viable candidate who could win this nomination. And then all of a sudden, they stopped carrying the rallies on television all the time. They carried them before for ratings, but then when they realized, and then when the convention came up, they brought in Paul Manafort, who later went to prison and all that stuff because he was. But if you remember, the Republicans were going to have a brokered convention. And they brought in Paul Manafort because they said he's the only man alive who knows how brokered conventions work. Well, nobody knows how they work because there hasn't been one in the modern era. Nobody alive has been through one, really, right? Come on. So the rules would be whatever they said they were. And they were planning on the Republican establishment. Remember this? Now, in the first case, this is why they opposed the Save America Act. Because they're as corrupt as the Democrats, the Thunes, the Bushes, okay? They were going to have a brokered convention. And what they started saying is, well, yeah, But when you go and vote, this is what they were saying. When you go and vote, you're not voting for the candidate in a primary. You're voting for the delegates at the convention, and they can vote for who they want to vote for. And they were going to steal that nomination from President Trump in 2015 and give it to Ted Cruz. And I can't remember who the second tier person was at that time, if you guys remember. And they were talking about this for weeks, and that's how Manafort came into the first Trump campaign. And then the polling came out, and they realized he was so popular that they couldn't do it. There would be riots in the streets, and they backed off. You know? So the reason I tell that story about that is the Republican establishment don't want the Save America Act for the same reason the Democrats don't want it. They're part of that system too. That's how they stay in power. And they don't want regular people like you and me deciding who the nominees are for the party or get elected. They've lost control. The Republican establishment have lost control of who gets the nomination. Every Republican and every Democrat that you've ever voted for, okay, they got the nomination because the Uniparty wanted them to have the nomination, including Ronald Reagan. Okay? And President Trump is the only presidential candidate in any of our lifetimes, and probably in American history, but certainly in our lifetimes, who got the nomination without the party pushing it through. So that's why they don't want the Save America Act. The Republican establishment don't want, it's not just Trump derangement syndrome. They don't want somebody else who's a popular person, like a populist candidate like Trump, bucking the party again in the future. They think they're going to be back after Trump's no longer president. They think the MAGA movement's going to fade away. And that's why it's not so much that he's primarying out Cassidy and some of these other jerks and rhinos. That doesn't help. But the main reason is the Republican establishment do not want the Save America Act so they can control who wins the primaries and gets nominated. The reason Ted Cruz won the Iowa caucus and not Trump, go online and watch how they do the Iowa caucus. The Iowa caucus runs like it runs like our student government elections used to run in middle school and high school. People put a name on a piece of paper, put it in a basket, and some guy just goes through one by one, and you trust him. Okay? That's the one Ted Cruz won. The ones that were done like a real election, our favorite president won. And that's why they're opposing the SAVE Act, because the SAVE Act would apply to primaries as well, not just the general. All right? Okay, I'm very late for the break, so I'm going to be in trouble, but we'll be right back. Okay, hang in there, guys. I went way late on that break.
On the line is Jamie Leeback from Swift Tax. You know, Jamie, a lot of people haven't filed their taxes in years. And so I'm so, and every time the mailman comes by, they're afraid that they're going to get that certified letter. And then there's a lot of people out there that already have judgments from the IRS that they owe money, a lot of money, from past years. Those people don't have anything to worry about because you can help them out, right?
Of course, Brian. If you're out there and you've recently received any letter from the IRS, it looks like another label scheme. Give me a call. I'm more than happy to help you out, walk you through the process, and show you how we can not only save you money, but stop stressing about the IRS. The IRS can produce a lot of stress, and I'm here to help you out. Take that worry off of your shoulder at the end of the day. There's nothing I can't help you with, whether you owe money, whether you got a notice recently and you really don't know how to go about it, whether you have years unfiled and you don't have transcripts or copies of any of those documentation, give me a call. There's nothing I can't help you with.
Jamie Leeback from Swift Tax can help you no matter where
All right, guys, we'll be back shortly. Hold on, we're going to be back. If you're on hold, stand by. Okay, we'll be back in about 30 seconds. I'll take some calls, and I got some more to share, too. And I'm so late for the break. But that's definitely why they're opposing the Save America Act. If you're on hold, hang in there. If you'd like to call in, the number is toll-free and pinned in the live chat, 888-465-2631. 888-465-2631, all right? Stand by. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. IB, how are you, brother?
Hey, IB, what's up?
Brian knows I don't compliment him often, but just for the audience specifically, when I discovered Brian, I'm like, who is this guy? I mean, he sounds like a Rush Limbaugh, and he makes it so simple for people to understand. I'm calling specifically to say bravo, Brian, bravo. How you explained the difference between the establishment blue blood Republicans and Trump, and the quivering of the lip, the lip of Thorne. Okay, so I think the way you explain it, I want you to just the audience doesn't understand. Like when you say I haven't got to half of my show prep, the information is still retained in your cerebral. I've been in situations where you don't use most of it, but when you say this, it seems effortlessly, but people don't understand the dynamics of it. So congratulations. But
I was waiting for the but. There was so many compliments there. I was waiting for the but.
Never.
You just said but.
Never.
You just said but.
With me. Yeah, but in the context you meaning it, no. But I was going to say, but here's where we are. We have the radical communists now versus MAGA. Bottom line, that's where we are. So not only that they pushed out the regular Democrats, and Trump is trying to get rid of these blue bloods. What does that leave us? MAGA versus communists. That's where we're headed now in the House, the Senate, the Congress, controlling these.
Well, did you see that? I forget who asked him, but that interview that Timu Obama gave yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries, and I like that. Somebody, was it you? One of our callers started calling him everybody called him Hakeem Jeffries Dollar Store Obama, and then one of our callers, it might have been you, IB, started calling him Timu Obama, which I think is better. It's more up to date.
No, I wouldn't take anyone else's credit. I didn't say
one of our callers did. But anyway, Hakeem Jeffries did an interview, and they asked him about what if these Democratic Socialists primary him out in 2 years and put up a candidate in New York because he ran unopposed, and he wouldn't answer the question, and you could tell he was scared about that. He's terrified of it.
Hey, Democrats, didn't I just utter the words we're going to see like around 250, and I'm thinking it's maybe months down the road. Trump just uttered the words yesterday, 225. Now, across the board, if that's national average, great. But we know that certain states like Jersey, California, Washington State, and so forth, Oregon, we know they're going to be higher prices, Massachusetts. But what I'm saying is across the board. I can believe he said the 250, the 225 price yesterday. So that came out quicker than I expected.
See, I appreciate the call, IB. All right, now let's give an example. Sky News did an interview with Tucker. And Tucker's a blue blood. And this is Tucker on Sky News. He's talking about the MAGA movement. Listen to this. I hate when Tucker does that annoying laugh, don't you? It's almost like a tick he has. I don't know. It's a strange laugh. Hmm.
I believe in making America great again. I certainly believe in its literal definition, but its operational definition is never clear. What I believe in is putting your country first.
Okay, now see, he's getting into his anti-Semitism thing here. But, I'll play more of this. But, what you have here with Tucker Carlson is you have one of the blue bloods. Remember, Tucker Carlson's dad was a lifelong CIA guy. And he claims that he didn't know about this till after his dad died. I'm going to call BS on that one. Tucker Carlson is hardcore establishment. He may be deep state, I don't know. But his dad was a lifelong CIA guy by Tucker's own admission. Okay, this isn't just something we don't know. It is true. It is a fact. And Tucker Carlson even talks about this on occasion. He doesn't like to talk about it, but he does. And they believe that the MAGA movement will leave us when Trump does. So they think when Trump leaves Washington, the MAGA movement's over. I got news for you. The MAGA movement, while it'll never fade away, but what it's doing is we're taking over the Republican Party, and we've got almost all of it. The only place where we don't have the total control is obviously in the Senate leadership, which is a little difficult because only a third is up every 2 years. They have a 6-year term. It's difficult to retake the Senate. But look at all these deep state firings the National Security Advisor is doing right now, and look at how these governors and state legislators did all these redistrictings around the country with very little conflict, including ending the black districts and all of that. The party is a MAGA party, but Tucker Carlson, who's part of the political establishment, believe that when Trump's out of office, it'll fade away. I got news for you. He left office for 4 years already, and it's stronger than ever. And as long as he's alive, his endorsement will mean something. There will not be a Republican president in the future, as long as Trump's alive, that doesn't have his endorsement. That's the way it is. And when he's gone in 57 years, the Trump kids and grandkids will be important. Kai Trump will be making endorsements, okay, in the future. And it'll be important. And, the Kennedy family legacy lasted a long time. President Kennedy's grandson lost the primary the other night. They must be in shock at that. But what you hear from Tucker in this interview is they think as soon as he leaves the White House again, it'll fade away. It's going to become even stronger because it's going to grow even more because we're going to see the need to be more active. We're going to become more activated than we are now, and we're pretty activated now. I want to talk about Life Imaging FLA. Life Imaging FLA has saved the lives of people in this listening audience, and that is a fact. I know of multiple people in this audience, multiple people, who have gone to Life Imaging FLA and had the heart scan and found out that they had major blockage. Some have even had to have surgery, but they didn't know they needed surgery. They would have found out, or maybe their family would have found out because they would have been dead. That's a fact. There are people in this audience who have had bypass surgery because they went to Life Imaging FLA and found out they had blockage they didn't know. There are people in this audience who found out they had cancer that they did not know about because when they went over there, they took my advice and asked about the cancer screening. This scan at Life Imaging FLA, which has locations in Palm Beach, Broward, Dade, and Orlando, is so simple. It takes just a few minutes. You don't have to get undressed and put on a hospital gown or anything. Okay? It takes just a few short minutes and you get the results. Call Life Imaging FLA for your free heart scan now with a few minimum requirements valued at $699. From your cell, call pound 250 and say free heart scan. You'll be connected in seconds. That's pound 250, say free heart scan, and you'll be connected in seconds. We'll be right back. All right, guys, hang in there. are back. I'm Brian. It's the Steve Kane Show, Florida's longest running radio show. I was not able to get William Youngerman, so he may call us. So I'm going to wait a couple of minutes to hear from William Youngerman. If you're on hold, stand by. I want to play this clip. This is the great Marco Rubio. Tucker Carlson. Oh, MAGA's over. It's over. We have such a great lineup. Whether it's J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio's my favorite. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Floridian, but I think Marco Rubio's amazing. And when they start working on Cuba and that's settled, holy smokes! But Marco Rubio, listen to this. All right, now before I comment on that, let me go to the phones because I'm waiting for William Youngerman. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? There we go. All right, first dump of the day, Mike. I thought that was not William Youngerman. First dump of the day. Oh my goodness. I love these guys that think they're going to beat the dump, so they talk really fast. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Oh my goodness! This is the secret to the dump. Okay, the way the dump works for people that don't know. This is how you do it. You hang up on the caller, then you hit the dump. Then you have no problem. You hang up on the caller, then you hang up. Sometimes people panic, right? Because they're not used to it. Us, it's like every third call, right? But well, guys, hold on. We'll be to the phones in a minute. Oh no! Look who's on the line. William Youngerman from the offices of William Youngerman. Oh man, you spared everyone, William Youngerman. They were about to get the amateur gold and precious metals report, but I put it off. I put it off because I knew you'd be calling in. So, how the metals looking on this Thursday, William Youngerman?
This Thursday, we're seeing gold yesterday closing down $111.60 at $3,998.40 after touching a low of $3,959. Silver lost $3.96, taking out the $60 support number and closing at $57.40 the ounce. Platinum was down $70 at $15.85, and palladium was down $62 at $11.53. Overnight, we saw gold trading in a range of $39.12 all the way up to $41.19 right now. $1,005.40 at $7. Silver up 52 cents at $57.02 the ounce. Platinum up $1 at $15.86, and palladium up $12 at $11.65. So at least we've stopped going down. This is some strong support areas, and we should get a bounce off of these numbers. We'll see how that works out and how we close out today, and especially for Friday.
Oh yeah.
As of now, great buying opportunities for most of the metals.
Yeah, the people I know that are into the metals, they don't worry about these things at all. These are all, every day is an opportunity for metals people because gold has been money for 5,000 years, and I have an idea that it'll be money in 5,000 more. So that's awesome. Listen, William Youngerman opens up at 10 a.m. You can stop in at 150 East Palmetto Park Road in Boca on the first floor of the Bank of America building, just east of US 1 Federal Highway, on the south side of Palmetto Park Road. You can call toll-free 800-327-5010, 800-327-5010, and find both his address and phone number online at williamyoungerman.com. All right, William Youngerman, we'll finish out the week tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
All right, take care. All right, so let me go back to this. I lost my train there between all the stuff going on, but let me play this clip again of Marco Rubio, because this is an important clip. And this is just a little while ago with Marco Rubio, okay? And this really blows me away. Listen.
it just shows you how seriously we take that endeavor. And we have a team of people that do work. I mean, I'm here today because they were overseas last week. We don't have a role like so, I mean, I'm here. I've been here for 3 days. So, but that, I think that's a really good question. The Vice President of the United States, other than the President, is the second most powerful person in our government. The fact that he's directly involved in this tells you the importance that our administration has given to this topic. So I think it's a very positive thing that he's involved in.
Okay, so this is really, President Trump has put together a cabinet like we've never seen in the history of the United States. They work together. There's no palace intrigue. They're not trying to do one another in so that they can be the star. They're not trying to upstage each other. And, you know, when you look at people that are, you know, the Secretary of State, former United States senators, the Vice President of the United States, global peace, a presidential nomination, and these guys are still working together where there's no ego doing them in, right? This is unheard of in presidential politics. And you know, we are so blessed to have such an incredible cabinet that have their egos in check and are just doing what's got to be done because it's what's right, you know. And they're always trying to cause a wedge between Marco and JD, right? They're trying to always cause that wedge, and they've had no success with it. And you know what? They're not going to, because they're very secure. We're a little off our schedule, so my apology, guys, but we are off our schedule. If you're on hold, hang in there. I'll try to squeeze in some calls. If you're on hold, I may go after the radio show. I may continue the YouTube after the radio show signs off. So if you're on hold, hang in there. I only got to about 3% of my show prep today. It's amazing. It's amazing. But hey, that's what it is. I want to talk about Coastal Weight Loss Secret. You know, I was talking earlier about them, about how since I've lost all this weight, I've kept the heat. You know, here's the thing. When I started Coastal Weight Loss Secret, of course, everybody and their brother that knows me knows I was on Coastal Weight Loss Secret on a weight loss plan because I'm talking about it every day. And I tell you, you know, people you know and are friends of yours, it's amazing how negative people are. Oh, well, you know, I tried to lose weight. I lost some weight, and then I gained it back on this diet I was on years ago. And you know, thanks a lot. I appreciate the encouragement, you know. I not only lost the weight fast, I have kept it all off. And when I tell you that I eat the foods I would normally eat, even now as I'm in the maintain phase, you know, I have some vices. I love jelly beans. Another one of my vices are Sour Patch Kids. My daughter for Father's Day got me a bag of Sour Patch Kids. I eat. Now, I'm not telling you that Dr. Zuckerman over at Coastal Weight Loss Secret recommends this, okay? This is not the secret. But I'm in the maintain phase. I eat my jelly beans. I eat my Sour Patch Kids. You know, I do eat that stuff. And I've still kept the weight off. And those of you that watch me on YouTube, you can see it. You know, I'm a skinny guy now. I had partially obstructed view with my stomach, and now I can look down, and I no longer have partially obstructed view. I have a flat stomach now. It's absolutely amazing. And you can do it too. I did it. This is the only weight loss system or program I've ever been on. I lost the weight, and I've kept it off. You can do it too. I know you can do it because I did it, and I know what's involved, and I did it. And I love it, and I feel great, and I look great. I look thinner. Everyone tells me I look younger. It's great. 561-247-6300. 561-247-6300. And online, coastalweightlossecret.com. All right, so if you're on hold, hang in there. So as we move into, you know, tomorrow is Friday. I want to remind everybody, Friday is open phones. We call it Open MAGA Mike Friday. I can't believe tomorrow's Friday already. This week has just flown by. That means on tomorrow's show, the show prep is up to you and the listening audience, okay? You can call in about any and everything on your mind on Friday's show tomorrow, all right? You don't even have to comment on whatever topics Steve and I bring up on tomorrow's show, all right? That's tomorrow and every Friday on the program. Monday through Thursday, we try to get you to talk about what we're talking about. But tomorrow's the big day. So I just want to finish off where I began because this is very important. Oil is below $70 a barrel. Let me see if I get the current price is $69.78 for a barrel of oil. I mean, oil prices have really, really dropped. And President Trump said yesterday that that gas prices should be about what, $2.35 a gallon. And if they don't lower it to the right price, he's going to investigate and find out why not. We have never had a president of the United States threaten to investigate the oil companies over low gas prices. So those of you out there that are griping about the affordability crisis, you've never had an advocate for people that are struggling financially than Donald Trump. All right, I'll try to squeeze in a call or two before the end. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from? You're on the air. There we go. All right. Second dump of the day, right at the end. And what that means is the rest of you on hold, hang in there. I may take a call or two after the show. Because we've got to wait for the delay to re-engage. You know, it really blows my mind. It's mostly men. Rarely do you get a woman who does this. These angry men in their language. The people that listen to this program, regardless of their political background, are grown adults. These are not kids. Okay? The ones that the callers I've had to dump today are grown men. So what is it about grown men that have them calling me using language like that? I couldn't imagine. If that was it's the summertime, kids are out of school, but that was the ones we've dumped today were grown men. When there's a kid that calls in, I'll tell you, oh, it's summertime. You can tell by the voice. That's what the winning does, right? Things are going so well. Did President Trump have 20 endorsement victories this week? Was it 20? Was it 16? I lost count. That's what it's done. That's what it's done to them. All right, guys. That's it for today. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 a.m. on Open MAGA Mike Friday. Take care. All right, we're clear. So I'll take a call or two maybe here before I sign off. I got a pretty busy day, but I'll take a call or two. You're on the air. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Brian. It's JJ in Mass.
Hey, JJ. Yeah, I mean, my goodness, I tell you, the last guy we dumped, I mean, he was the F this, F that. I mean, these people are losing their minds out there.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the theme of what I'm thinking about. I mean, you talk about Caitlin Clark, and my mom used to say she'd go to a hockey game for the boxing match, just making fun of hockey, many, many years ago. But now it's sort of like you go to the WNBA to see a game. You basically go to see a BLM, mostly peaceful riot. That punch to the throat, I mean, that looked like a cage match at the White House.
You could kill someone doing that. You could kill someone.
Yeah, that was. Now, I think it's, there's a lot going on there. I don't think it's, racism, I think, very little of it, really. I think it's, well, maybe a lot, really, but it's more jealousy for the money she's making, and then there's
it's 100% racism. It is black on white racism that Caitlin Clark is dealing with. Make no mistake about it. There's also maybe some hatred of heterosexuals too, but it's mostly black on white racism.
The heterosexual thing, yeah, I think that there's a little bit of that, but there's jealousy over the money. I mean, she's got good hair, maybe they're mad. The bottom line is, whatever it is, they're not straight in the head. It was like I was going to mention the first caller, or close to one of the first callers, a guy that kept saying, once again, Brian, once again, he kept saying that, the passport guy.
Oh, yeah, the guy from Chicago. Yeah.
I'm like, that's just, bro, you have a marriage license and a birth certificate. Bob's your uncle, and you get your damn passport. It's like putting a piece of bread in a toaster. It's not complicated. And that guy was making it sound like that was annoying. That guy. I mean, it was annoying to listen.
Well, if you notice what happened, it was the guy from Chicago. If you missed that, you guys go back and watch. It was right. I can't remember what time it was. It was in the 6 o'clock hour. It was before 7.
It was early.
It was before 7.
He kept saying once again.
Yeah, and
once again, Brian.
And he was so upset that Trump didn't sign this housing bill, which is a big thing that they're all talking about. And I had pointed out to him simply that it's a bill that was Trump's idea that he crafted. It was passed by the Republican House and the Republican Senate. And you Democrats are so upset that Trump didn't sign a MAGA bill passed by the Republican Congress. And he just lost his mind after that with the Trump derangement. And they've got this talking point going on out there about this bill, and it's just stupidity what's going on with these people. All of a sudden, they're upset that Trump's not signing MAGA legislation. That's Trump derangement syndrome for you. And I told him, I said, if he would have signed it, you would have called me today griping that it hurts people, and who's disenfranchised by it. I mean, come on.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Exactly.
They would do that. They would do that. Everything Trump does, I mean, he does to make the country better. I mean, everything. Even there's just everything he does. And the Trump's cabinet, they're phenomenal. It's the best. What is going on? I'm so amazed to see it. I mean, I've been in a really good, in a happy mood. Even with the New York insanity, happening, I've just been in such a damn happy mood watching all these World Cup, fans all over the country, just absolutely loving our country. I mean, just loving our country, and I'm like,
you know what it's like. A lot of these liberals in the audience won't know what I'm talking about, but you may, you're smart. These foreign, mostly the European ones are the ones we're hearing from, but these foreign World Cup players that are falling in love with America, and they're telling everybody about it on social media, and these guys are famous, so they're telling billions of people around the world are seeing these positive stories about America, and they're saying, I thought America was terrible until I was here. And it's kind of like Tocqueville's Democracy in America. And Tocqueville was Tocqueville was a Frenchman who visited early America, and he wrote a book called Democracy in America, which I'm sure you can get for free online because the book's like 200 years old. And he was talking about how wonderful it was in America compared to Europe. And that's what this is like.
Yeah. And he compared one side, if you remember in the book, he compares, on one side of the river, it's, I think it was the river, I'm trying to remember it. I read that.
It's been a long time since I read Democracy in America.
Since I read it, but he basically is just how amazing it is on one area, and I think he went into a little bit about slavery and so forth and so on, but hearing all of the different, fans from everywhere. In Japan, when they were at a stadium.
Well, like I gotta tell you,
they cleaned up the stadium.
I've never seen anything like that. That is super cool.
They cleaned up the stadium.
That is super cool.
I want to adopt them.
That is amazing. I saw a guy yesterday. I think he was from the UK, and he was in Miami for the World Cup here, and he went to Publix and got a sub. He got a chicken tender sub that people told him he had to get. Publix is basically, the Publix sub has put Subway out of business. Not just Jared's crimes, but Subway in Florida is pretty much out of business because of the Publix subs. And even though he's not from America, you don't get ranch dressing on a chicken tender sub, but he did. He didn't know, but he got it, and he loved it. He never tasted anything like it.
They're trying to take ranch. The Mad Lads of Scotland and Boston were phenomenal. I've got so many relatives in Boston. I've heard so many stories. They were out with, a lot of my relatives. I've got like 100 relatives easy in Boston. Yeah. And I'm getting all these, I'm hearing uncle, cousin JJ.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just hearing all the stories. And, the Mad Lads of Scotland, and how I would love to adopt those guys and get rid of the Democrats that hate our country. But it's, and the one guy, there was a French guy, if you've seen this video. Have you heard of the Waymo, the Waymo car?
Mm-mm.
It's like it's a self-driving car.
Oh, yeah.
And this French guy looks, he says, I've been looking at this Waymo car and trying to, why is it Waymo? And I know the answer, because in America, they have way more.
That's right.
They have way more than everybody else.
That's right.
It's comical.
We have what we have is we have an overabundance of everything, including freedom.
And Buc-ee's. They're just flipping out about Buc-ee's.
Oh.
I saw gas at a Buc-ee's station, Brian, in Texas it was like $1.17.
Have you ever been to a Buc-ee's?
Yes.
Oh my
I've been in
goodness.
Texas.
I mean, I don't know how to describe a Buc-ee's, but Buc-ee's is kind of like a Walmart with gas pumps. But better. I don't know how to describe it, but it's people.
It's like a super Walmart time. It's like
Yeah.
a super Walmart times 2,
Yeah.
with like hundreds of gas pumps, and they make it, and they manufacture and sell their own brand. They make a majority of them.
It's an amazing Buc-ee's.
retail.
Buc-ee's is an amazing place, and one of the reasons that what's the name of that place? Shoot, what's that restaurant that's off of every exit of I-95?
The Kraft.
Where they have the store, they have this country store,
the
Cracker Barrel.
Cracker Barrel.
Buc-ee, the main reason Cracker Barrel is in trouble is because of Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's is a lot more fun than Cracker Barrel, and they have food, and they got gas and everything, and they got better stuff to buy.
They got everything in there.
And beef
They got everything.
Yeah. Listen, I got to run, but I appreciate the call. Yeah. But anyway, I want to before I go, I wanted to share this with you. This is Fox and Friends today. And my wife just sent this to me, actually, because obviously I don't watch Fox and Friends. It's on TV when I'm on the air, right? Listen to this. This is Fox and Friends. Yeah, and you know this when that clip I played earlier in the show, Ted Cruz said that they're planning on replacing Schumer not with AOC but with Mamdani. I believe it because he didn't just win his election; he won these endorsements. Now again, he's got to win all of New York, not just New York City, but New York City's got a lot of votes in it. If you're new, my name is Brian, and this is most definitely where MAGA comes to talk. So. Make sure that you subscribe if you're new. I'm here every morning. I start before 6. I start about 5:45 every morning, but I'm here till 9 a.m. every weekday morning, most afternoons, and I'm also here in the mornings on the weekends too. So subscribe, and a lot of great content here. And if you've not already liked the video, guys, please like the video before you go. When you like the video, it gets the program, gets the video recommended to people that have not yet found the channel. And I know so many of you have been liking the video every day. Thank you so much for doing that. And please continue to like the video. It helps more than I can describe. All right. All right, guys. My name is Brian Craig. This is where MAGA comes to talk.